Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode.
Everyday Normal Person's Podcast. Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talk and real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
And we're back to SOTS Podcast. Social and political commentary.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right. Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode.
Everyday Normal Person's Podcast. Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talk and real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
And we're back to SOTS Podcast. Social and political commentary.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right. Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode.
Everyday Normal Person's Podcast. Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talk and real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
And we're back to SOTS Podcast. Social and political commentary.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right. Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode.
Everyday Normal Person's Podcast. Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talk and real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
And we're back to SOTS Podcast. Social and political commentary.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right. Salt to the streets.
to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation.
And just like a red, white, blue phoenix rising from the ashes of political bipartisanship, we are back to Salt of the Streets Podcast.
This is Saturday, March 13th, 1:18 p.m., episode 104.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Salt of the Streets Podcast, your one and only source for social and political commentary and all the weekly news, pop culture, and sports that you can handle. And the best part about the whole deal, it's all built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday normal person. So come down and join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and continue our endless endeavor to bridge that gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts. I am Colin.
I am Donovan.
And today, ladies, gentlemen, theys and thems.
Lentilman!
Lentilman!
That's from...
What is that from?
It's from an Adam Sandler movie, Anger Management.
Anger
Man in the
Management.
car, and
a
Jack
great
Nicholson
flick.
tries to get him to hook up with that, with the trans. You can't even say tranny anymore. Like, that's at that time, you're like, yeah, he tries to get him to hook up with a tranny. He tries to get him to engage in sexual acts with a trans person. And he says, ladies, gentlemen, Lentilman! And it was funny at the time, but now we'll probably get canceled just for even fucking talking about it.
It's all right. We could use a little cancellation. It's no big deal. All that really does is help people
Yeah,
these days. Trying to find new creative ways to get canceled so that we can become famous.
that's right. We're
And
cracking.
before we do the show, why don't you? There we go. Beautiful.
Shout out.
We're gonna take a little
Heritage.
shot skis.
Also, another shout out to Heritage, because when COVID and everything popped off, they started making all that hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Smelled like straight liquor.
You sounded like a liquor store.
Holy God. We had some of it, and we put it in like a spray bottle at home.
Yep.
To spray, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was really hardcore.
Everyone's house for a while smelled like they were alcoholics.
Yeah.
Why you gotta give me the high test, bro?
Because
This is
you
gonna.
drink more than I do.
How dare you?
How dare you?
You know, I can't argue against that. Cheers, buddy.
That one's a little bit saucier than this one.
Whew. The sugar helps, though.
Yeah.
All right, 51.5%. For sakes, what did you just put in my body?
Yeah, this one's only 30%.
Oh, I got a quick story before we do anything.
Let's hear it.
Well, actually, let's do this. What are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about
Grab
the
bag.
COVID-19. Yeah, it'll be a grab bag. And then, because I kind of forgot about it, right? Because we did a pretty good dive into the COVID relief bill
Yes.
last episode.
Yes.
And not too much has changed,
No.
which is nice.
Well, I'm glad I took all these notes then.
Definitely,
I'm just
definitely.
Well, you know
But
I
yeah,
can
so we're
read
going to
through
talk
this
about
quick.
that. You know, there is not a crisis down on the southern border.
No crisis.
Supposedly,
It's
there's no
it's an
crisis.
urgent situation, but it's not a crisis.
Not a crisis.
And the latest one, I just don't think that it really makes a difference what we call it. I think that I swear to God, she said that I don't think that it matters what we call it. I think what matters is that we lay out the concrete steps of what we're going to do to make it better. Doesn't matter what we call it. Doesn't
No.
matter. It's just, 3 to maybe potentially 6 times worse than when we first called it a crisis during the Obama administration. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's not a crisis. It's
Not a
just
crisis.
it's an urgent situation. Don't worry about it. Here's your $1,400.
And you're $1,400. Shut up and go away now.
Yeah,
Take your
fuck,
crumbs
dude.
and go.
Yeah. So yeah,
Talk
we're gonna
about
talk
that.
about stimulus bill a little bit.
And then we got phase 3 for Washington State has finally emerged
Yeah.
after, and so we'll get into that a little bit.
I-
Stuff here for all you local folk.
Yeah. I've
It'll be
got
a
to
good
tell
one.
you, I spoke your praises to Jordan on our family walk yesterday. I was
Oh, well,
telling her,
thank you.
we're going to talk about these things and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so we're going to talk about phase 3. And I laughed a little bit and I said, you know what's funny? I said, and I've kind of been quiet, partially because I want to just see what happens, partially because no one is really listening, so it doesn't really matter at this point. I said, it matters more for the future. So in regards to phase 3, so Colin is about the only person that I have seen actually talking about the fact that the governor didn't have a phase 3 until like 5 seconds ago. Everyone was just so happy to be in phase 2 that it's like it didn't even matter. And as we were approaching the end of phase 2, like the 2-week mark, it was 1 week into phase 2, and you were like, I really hope that in another week we'll have a plan of what's going to happen next. And I was like, yeah, maybe. Like we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then another 10 days goes by, and you're like, word. So we're past the 2 weeks now, and still no plan for phase 3. Excuse me. And it was just on Thursday, right? That
Mhm.
that he finally came out with phase 3, which is
Yeah, it was on
How long-
Thursday. He did a press conference. They're
Yeah.
talking about what phase 3 would be,
Will look
when
like.
we're getting, what it'll look like, when we're going to be able to go into it.
the things that we know right now, because there was
yeah.
a lot of stuff that he was like, which we don't know quite yet, but we'll definitely have that next week before the 22nd for sure.
Yeah, and this is remember not that long ago we had a multi-phase. I think it was 4 phases in the original plan, and somehow along the line they decided to get rid of it.
And we're also back to counties now
Yep.
instead of districts.
The Hunger Games have officially
The Hunger
concluded.
Games have ended. I don't know who won.
Yeah.
But the Hunger Games for this year are over. The districts have closed.
Yep.
We are back to the county level.
Yeah, but we'll get into all the details on that one
Yeah.
because surprise, surprise, spoiler alert, Kitsap County already meets all the requirements to go into phase 3. But we'll get into those numbers and stuff later. So I wanted to talk to you about alcohol real quick. Alcohol. So I went to the bar yesterday.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay.
You went where yesterday?
I went to the bar.
Oh, to the bar.
Had me a nice fat hamburger with some burnt fried onions on it, which was kind of sad, but it was still
I'm
satisfying.
trying to go to the bar.
It was.
I haven't been to
real
the
good.
bar since things have reopened.
So, from my experience, let me tell you a cautionary tale about returning to bars, everyone. Most of these bars have not been essentially very active for a year, right?
The bars especially, because
Yes.
the restaurants have been open.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Particularly the bars, because
Yes.
they've been the ones that. Oh yeah, that's the best. The other thing I'll get into. It's COVID now goes to bed at midnight and not 11 anymore.
Yes,
So
right.
that's,
We
that's
can
a
be
thing.
out and drinking
Yep.
until midnight because
Yeah,
the 1
that's a new
hour
thing.
makes it. I heard that he said that, and I was like, "What's the fucking difference?" I'm like, "What is the fucking difference?" Like,
There
I don't
is none.
understand.
It's just a matter of how much
Ah,
control they want to
Washington.
exert. But so anyways, I went to the bar, and I'm not drinking beer right now, obviously. So I just was gonna have a glass of bourbon
For
right?
Lent.
So I ordered the hamburger, or I ordered my glass of bourbon first. I just want bourbon on the rocks, and she go, okay, what kind of bourbon you want? I was like, well, let's not do some bottom shelf stuff. I mean, I'm just drinking this straight. So
Celebrate.
let's do like a. You got a Knob Creek back there. That's one of my favorites. She's like, oh yeah, we got a bottle of that. So I get my glass, and I drink about half of it, to the point where the ice all starts to melt, and there are not one, but 2 flies in it, and some other schmegma that was floating around in there.
Oh no.
And so I just got, it's like, hey, here's the thing. This is what's going on. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's like, I wonder if it's the ice or the bottle or what it is. Let me find out. So she picks up the bottle and looks, and it is full of fruit flies. And then she goes,
"Oh no!"
and then they go, yeah, and because we haven't.
And she didn't notice while she was pouring it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because I guess nobody's been in this. We haven't had fruit flies in the bar for since last summer.
Oh God.
It's like, wow, you're selling it.
Oh,
You're selling it, girl.
no.
You're selling it.
Like, I definitely want another glass right now.
So she,
Oh,
so she gave
no.
me another. She gave me another glass. I
From a
got,
different bottle, hopefully.
yeah, I totally got. I just got.
Just a completely different liquor.
Yeah, I did. I did. I said, well, let's see. What do you guys usually? You guys use Bushmills on the regular, right? She's
Right.
like, yeah. It's real. I was like,
What do you
okay.
know is
Give me,
new?
give me one of those.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. But I was at the end of the day. I'm like, okay, flies that are just hanging out inside of a bottle of bourbon, I'm not too worried about. Because that bourbon's gonna kill anything
But still,
in
it's
there.
gross,
But I don't want
you know?
it. Yeah.
I don't want to be
So as a cautionary tale, people, as you return to the bar,
ask for a new bottle.
please ask the bartender if that bottle's been securely closed for the past year,
Yeah.
or if it's just sat there with the spout on it where flies can get in it. Because the liquor will be fine for a year. It'll sit there on the shelf with a nice cork in it. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But
I'd be
you leave the
interested.
pour spout on there for a year, and bad things will happen.
I'd be interested in the beers because the taps, some people have like the
I try not to ask
the plugs in
yeah.
them, but
A lot of them will leave the lines just. A lot of people don't understand the way it works, right?
Yeah.
You pour the tap, and it's just like, oh yeah, it comes from the keg 150 feet that way, and then it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, you have 150 feet or 10 feet even
Of
worth of
disgusting
line
beer.
that just is full of beer that's just gonna sit there.
Yeah.
Right, and luckily these things are on a vacuum system, so you do have a grace
A
period.
certain seal.
But eventually, those things are gonna turn, and I guarantee you, a lot of these bars haven't been
horrible.
cleaning those lines out this whole time. So just
Well, I'm
cautionary
glad
tale,
that I
just
haven't
be
been
careful.
yet. Maybe I'll wait another
That's,
week or two.
at
and
this
then
point,
I'll
I'm
go.
like, if I'm gonna go to any kind of divey establishment,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give it a minute. I'm just gonna give it a minute, or
Yeah.
order something that I know they run through on the regular.
Well, and we're at the point now. Dax is 2 years old, so it's like, where are we gonna go that he's gonna be able to chill the whole time that we're there?
Yeah.
He's not necessarily equipped to go somewhere like Silver City or something. Where we're gonna sit down and we're gonna probably have an appetizer and then we're gonna have a meal and then he just doesn't have that much time of chilling in one place.
Like, my heart's
for
not into it
him.
that long.
He just
but
doesn't have it. No, but
it's like, I'll give you 30 minutes, Dad. You better hurry up.
yeah. So, I'm interested for that. We haven't really gone out to eat anywhere, Oh, so my point was, if we're going to go out to eat, usually it's on like a date night,
Yeah.
We have to get somebody to watch Dax. And we haven't. The last couple of date nights have been like to go to Jake and Morgan's
Yeah.
for the show and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, which is say we don't have any kind of plans for that this week, do we?
We didn't have a sitter for tonight, obviously.
Oh, word.
So.
Oh yeah. Hence.
Yeah,
No
and
mamacita.
Jake and Morgan always, to their credit, always offer for, and I've never explained this to them, so I don't.
Oh, to like
expect them
bring.
They always offer. They're like, you can totally bring him if you want, which obviously we appreciate to the umpteenth degree. But
Like, I'm not trying to bring him. That's the whole deal.
like right there's one aspect of we have to watch him if we bring him, right? Which
Yeah.
is not like I don't want to spend time with my kid, but if we're gonna go on a date, try and have a good time. Like that's not what we're trying to do, So it's complicated for us. It is slightly lessened because like you guys are there, they're there, he's doing other things, but we're still his parents. We still have to be watching him, making sure he's not breaking.
You won't be able to shut it off if he's there.
And then especially now that he's so mobile, and he's in his
Oh,
big boy
yeah.
bed, he's getting in and out, Before when he was in his crib, even the last time we went there, he was too big for his packing place, so we put him on the floor, But because he slept in his crib, he just stayed there. He didn't know that he could get out of his bed, so we just blocked him with pillows. He just didn't move, Now he gets out of his bed all the time, and
I don't like this. I'm gonna go sleep on the floor.
Jake and Morgan don't have babies, so their house is not baby-proofed, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? There's no problem with that. But
That would just be one
of us
reason
is
why you
gonna
can't
have
shut
to,
it off.
Yeah, one of us is gonna have to lay in the room with him until he lays down. Which could be an hour. Oftentimes. It is not until almost 9:30 that he is done moving. We are done going into his room. Like it's 3 times for sure every night. We're gonna have to go in there after we put him down to tell him to get back in his bed or put him back in his bed. That's just
Nocturnal.
it's just how.
He's like, nah, Dad, I'm a night owl.
He doesn't
Let me
get it. He
up.
doesn't fuck around. We watch him on the thing. He just gets out of his bed. He just pulls all of his stuff onto the ground and just lays on the floor.
So
Don't know
weird.
what the fucking deal is. Don't know why he's doing it. Sometimes he'll play. Sometimes like open up one of his drawers. But he's not like terrorizing things. He's laying on the floor. We don't want him to sleep on the floor. Obviously, it's fucking weird, dude. It's a weird deal. Babies are
weird
weird.
deal.
Children are weird. It's
I saw this cool video on the Twitter machine the other day of, I think it's a page called like Dads posting their W's or something like that. Because there's a bunch of those pages on Twitter now that I all follow. Like Biden supporters posting their L's, all sorts of these things. And this guy had a night vision camera that was watching the kids, and it's a set of twins, and they each have a crib, right? And they wake up, and they both kind of get out of their cribs, nice and easy, and then they're running around together the whole night, jumping on stuff, moving over here, jumping over there, and then eventually they just bloop, back into their beds. So like mom and dad would come in, and unless they were watching, they would have no idea that it happened all night. I thought that was pretty funny.
And our camera will give a notification if there's motion in his room, So as long as it's working correctly, because we did buy a cheap ass fucking Chinese camera, so every once in a while it will, 6 hours will go by, and then you'll get 5 notifications all at one time, and you're like, oh, so he was up for 3 hours fucking around, and we just didn't know about it. So that does happen sometimes, but most of the time, and Jordan's a pretty light sleeper, so we'll sleep with it on, But for some reason, also, again, cheap Chinesium, the volume will just turn off after like 2 hours.
That's
So you
slightly
can turn the
uncomfortable.
volume on and off. Yeah, so like when I get up in the morning, she'll usually go in and change his diaper because he'll fucking God, this is so boring. And no one cares about this, but she'll go in and change him and stuff like that. And then before I leave, I'll have to turn the volume back on the monitor on her phone because it will have turned off.
Oh, yeah.
Just in the hour and a half since I got up, and now I'm going to go to leave for work. Yeah. So, spend up on the baby monitor if you're going to. Some people don't give a
Spend up.
fuck. I don't know.
Well, you think about it, too, like all this time, he's been perfectly fine.
And that's like, I am consistently battling with like, what do we need? You know what I'm saying? Because for how long did people not have a baby monitor and everything was okay? Like, it was fine. People used to put their fucking babies outside their front door at night because they were trying to have parties and shit. And it was going to be, I swear to God, would put their babies in like their bassinet just on the front porch. Because it's quieter out there. It's hot inside the house. It's cooler outside. I swear to God. Swear to God.
I mean, it sounds...
And now we're watching on a video
sounds solid.
all night, It's weird. And so...
Welcome to the future.
Yeah, even like, the discussions have started of like, oh, well, like we could get him like a... And I'm not... This is not Jordan, so I'm not painting her a negative light. But discussions started like, oh, well, a tablet for like maybe, when we're in the car and whatever. And I'm like, fuck that. Like, fuck that. Like, I didn't need one. I didn't get one. He's not fucking getting
doing
one.
That.
And
I didn't have a cell phone until I was 16 years old.
So I'm sure a part of that is just old manness, like fossil mentality, But I
you are an old man.
I also want him to, to be able to entertain himself. Like, he's always got so much shit going on. Like, I need you to be able to hold it together in a car ride while we're going somewhere fun. Like, fucking, you have to chill in the car. You have to be able to do that,
This is forced
feel
morale.
I feel that it's very important. We used to go every year. We used to go to Moses Lake for 2 weeks and camp there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we would take the minivan and literally pack it to the brim full of shit. Car top carrier, all the stuff. Literally, we would get in, and then my mom would put more things in the van and then close the door.
There you go.
That's how we went there.
Hold that, honey. Mommy's got to close the
like
door.
It's 5 hours to fucking Moses Lake. 5 hours.
Wow.
Figure it out. It doesn't matter. It's hot as shit. Figure it out. My mom, to this day, she is like this. She will not use the air conditioner in her car. Doesn't do it. Won't fucking use it. Uses too much gas. I'm not doing it. Roll the windows down.
Uses too much gas.
To this day is like this, which I think is great.
Hey, some people, man, go to town.
I'm like that, bro. Then I'm like, no, you can see the gas. Like, it goes way faster. It does. Like, it does burn more gas if you're using your air conditioner, but not to the point that you shouldn't use it,
I'm really confused.
It does. Your car has to work harder to cool down the air, especially if it's a summer day.
Because it takes more power from the battery to put more juice into the
gas
AC.
burns. I don't know all the science behind it. Your gas burns faster if you use your air conditioner while you're driving.
Got it.
I swear to God.
Fact check.
Maybe I'm dumb.
Maybe.
If I'm dumb and that's wrong, someone tell me. But I swear to God, you can see it.
You can see it.
Anyway, yes. So to this day, she's like that. And so we would have to, for 5 hours, entertain yourself. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
And I'm like, bro, we're going to fucking McKinnon or whatever. It's like 90 minutes from here. Like, it's on the other side of Sheldon. Like, you fucking, come on, bro.
Get it together.
No, like, we don't need him to have a tablet for him to, but I don't know.
Well, I will say this.
Who knows? Someone
in whoever's defense, in the oppositional defense.
Well, that's why I'm not trying to like paint her like that, because she's not like, well, he needs a tablet. Like, it's not.
It's not direct.
No.
But there's those folks out there.
Yeah. Well, and Jordan is like, we could, like, it's a possibility. I'm like, no, fuck that. Like,
no.
Like, yeah, no.
Like, okay.
She's not as upset about it as I am. She's like, listen, I'm just. It might be easier for us.
So I mean, if you examine that, there's two sides to this, right?
37-minute timer. I'm setting it right now.
One is the fact that the child, if given a tablet, will probably be quiet, right? Which is a benefit to the parents.
Yes.
And they also, as long as you as the parent hook them up with something actually productive to do on the tablet, time well spent. But on the opposite side, you're reinforcing the idea that his mind has to be busy 24/7 and can't learn, he's not learning to sit there, shut up, and to be patient, which is definitely going to be way more painful for the parents.
Yeah.
But, two sides of the coin. benefits on both sides, pros and cons on each. You know, that's the thing. So you're not off base, and whoever wants to make the opposite argument is not off base either.
You tell me, does your kid have a tablet? If so, when and where do they get to use it? Because we've even talked about even when she has given credence to the idea, it's been like really just for when he's in the car, you know, not even like at a restaurant or like anything like that. It's because fucking in the car, because if he's not going to sleep, he'll just fucking scream after a while.
Yeah.
He'll just scream and scream and scream, which is torture for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, is it easier to literally even just put it on the back of the seat, you know what I'm saying,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just play a fucking movie for him rather than let him scream. Like,
Yep.
and I'm like, yeah, probably. You
Yeah.
know, is it easier to just put on fucking Toy Story for him and
Yeah.
just let him ride and probably fall asleep at that point? Or
And at the end of the day, is that any different than you putting on headphones for 12 hours at work every day to make the day go by faster?
Right. Well, and also when after a certain point, my mom had a middle console van in the back seat. It would flip up like this, and there was a screen, I shit you not, about yay big.
Oh, dope.
That was
Airplane
in there.
size.
Yeah, and there was a VCR in the middle console. I swear to God. This is
like-
so OG.
This
Okay.
is like top of the line 1990s.
Yeah. This is how I took advantage of this too, right? As it gets into the 2000s, I have like an Xbox, right? I have an Xbox. I remember this vividly. So there's a VCR in there, and you open up the middle console in between the front seats, and you insert a VHS tape into the VCR that's
so cool.
mounted in here, and it plays on the little screen.
That's so
And
dope.
Then there was a little display at the bottom of the middle console, like in the back seat, and it had the audio video cables, the yellow, red, and white ones, right, and its own independent little power switch. So I plugged my Xbox in there, you know, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna play Xbox in this car while we're going somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the battery of the car it cannot handle the Xbox and the car and all the things, so it would turn off after like 10 minutes. Like, so I got it all hooked up, and I'm jamming. I'm like, this is the shit. Like, I'm so
my
jazzed about
God.
this. Like, I'm just gonna play Xbox for like 4 hours, like 10 minutes, and yeah, it turns
Wrong.
off. And I was like, oh no, what happened? Yeah, so I fucked with it for like 4 times, and it just kept turning off. I was like, God damn it. Well,
Oh, at least it didn't shut the car
So-
off, you know?
right.
That would have been.
So there is. So my point is, there is a certain aspect of entertainment that I did have in the car.
Yeah.
After a certain point. So
Like, I remember when.
I shouldn't subject them to less than that.
Right. I mean, that's not. You're just trying to make
Get
it look
nothing.
better.
Nothing.
I even remember when I was a kid, like, we got and actually it wasn't even ours, as like me and my brother. It was my mom got an original Game Boy.
Really?
And we had Tetris.
Black and whiter.
Yeah, well, it was green. It was like a weird green, beigey black. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, we had Tetris and like Mario, right? And that was it. But there was only one of them.
Yeah.
So we go on a road trip down to Oregon, like same place we're going to be going here in April.
Yeah.
You know, it's like 8 hours probably down there or something like that. Me and my brother would fight over this thing like nobody's business, and then it would take like 6 AA batteries. So we each had like a pack of batteries we had to bring the whole time. Oh, bro.
Oh man, I totally remember that, bringing packs of batteries places, like,
so that
in a
you could
plastic
get,
bag.
so you can go for 8 hours because you needed multiple
God,
changes.
I remember that. And it starts to
the
tell you, it
days.
starts to dim.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, I gotta save my game real quick. This shit's gonna die any minute now. And you're like, do I just turn it off now and swap out the batteries, or do I play it out until it dies?
Yeah.
God damn it, do I remember that?
The struggles, bro. The struggles.
Old
Well,
days. All right. Well,
that being
now
said,
that we've taken our trip down fucking memory lane, Jesus Christ.
that was a half-hour trip of beauty.
Let's start. with-
Oh, did we tell it? I mean, we did it in the pre-show, but we might as well just say it once real quick here. We're in the nature of peripherally putting out content that is culturally relevant. We created some culture by accident because Micaiah and RJ, Denzel, and Elijah, the guys over at Upper Left, have a new EP. Micaiah put out Imminent.
Micaiah's
you know,
EP.
we're not going to rehash everything, but if you like rap, hip hop music,
Stream
and even
it,
if you
yeah.
don't, get out there, get on Spotify, get on wherever you find your music.
Yeah.
And
We have some
find them and give
interludes
it a
on
listen. It's pretty great. Yeah, we have some interludes kind of stuck in there. It reminded me of like, and this is totally ironic, it reminded me of the old school Eminem albums.
Yes.
They used to have skits and stuff in between tracks. And then the same night that on the 11th, the night the EP came out, I came home and then Carolina was like, "Oh, hey, did you know that Eminem's album's out, all this stuff?" And then she showed me that, and it's got a couple skits in it too. And I was
really?
like, "Oh shit!" So Upper Left is basically just like Eminem, except better.
Basically just like Eminem.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I think
goodness.
RJ can spit better than Eminem can.
Oh, don't let Jordan.
That
hear you
dude is
say
dangerous.
Don't let
RJ is
Jordan hear you
dangerous,
say that.
man.
He is. He's an
Man.
assassin.
I'm so impressed.
I really can't.
Yeah, that'll be so fun. So fun. Yeah, they can wear our plate carriers and everything. It'll be great.
Kelly also from my work, you know what I'm talking about? That makes the coffees.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
She said that she bought a gun, like one of her other daughters bought a gun, one of her sons bought a gun, her husband has a gun.
Good.
And so she approached me and she's like, Tyler said that, you know, you fucked around with a gun. She's like, would you be willing to like take us shooting and like, you know, like help us like just like learn a little bit? And I was like, I would be more than happy to go shooting with the four of you guys and take you out, teach you the limited amount that I know, and ensure that you can be safe and well on your way to being like an official
Oh,
gunner.
man.
Yeah, so I'm super jazzed for that.
You're out there
So,
spawning new Second Amendment shills.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm a big fan.
That's the one thing I'm glad to be a shill about. You know.
Happy to do it.
Yep, happy to shill for the
Happy to do
for
it.
2A, baby.
Yeah.
So let's just dive into this $1.9 trillion billion trillion $1.9
start
trillion dollar COVID relief bill.
Okay.
I think we should probably just start here. It's kind of the giant elephant in the room. You know what I mean?
Deal. I also I want
Ooh.
to preface with
Preface.
this, right? This breakdown, because I got some numbers here and some things like that, breakdowns of some of the different big things that went in here, and I want everyone to understand that we do this not just so that you guys know, but because there's always so much disinformation out there about what is covered in a bill, what isn't covered in a bill. Well, this happens afterwards. So we don't just do this for you to know. We also do this so that when you hear someone spouting off saying something that you know to be false, you have information backed up by facts to use to correct that. The only way to win the culture war, the information war, is to provide facts, to say the right thing, to do the right thing all of the time. So I just want to reiterate that's part of why we're here.
Honesty and truth is a very underrated and underappreciated cultural trait throughout the American culture, and it has been bastardized to the point that there's a reason that you cannot pull up a news article, read it through, and go, yeah, this is the fact. This is true.
Yeah.
And it's spread throughout our culture. But I mean, there's a reason why, like in ancient Assyria, if you got caught lying, they would murder you. They would kill you because telling the truth was that important to them. I'm not going to advocate for that, but I like the concept.
What Colin's trying to say
Sorry.
is if we catch you lying, we're going to murder you.
I mean,
It's not a big deal.
I didn't say that. I'm not saying that right now. I have a Bible over there. I can put my hand on it.
Yeah.
You see the giant epic Bible I have over there? And then there's a Quran right underneath of that.
Where the
BT
fuck
dubs.
did you get the Quran?
I bought it a long time ago.
You just had it? You know,
There was a brief period of my life when I was a very young adult man
and you were
where I
Muslim?
got really into studying various religions.
Have you read the Quran?
Yes.
What?
Quran. I mean, as much as you go through it,
Right.
like other things.
Who reads
but,
the Quran?
I mean, probably a
Cover to cover Quran.
Yeah.
I bet that's a podcast. Cover to cover Quran.
If not, it's really catchy.
I'd put
You want to do
$5
that show? Give us a call.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there was a point where I was like really into religions because I was like trying to figure out like why everybody hates each other, and so I was going through and I'm like, all of these are the same. I don't understand it, And I went through like the Torah and stuff like that. And Judaism's weird in itself because there's so many different places you got to go to get the full contextual context. But with Islam and the Christianity-based Catholicism, so on and so forth, it's really easy because it's all basically centralized in one book.
I have long said that if I had to pick a religion,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would be a Jew.
I mean, that's cool.
If I had to pick one.
You know, if I had to go with a Judeo-Christian-based monotheistic religion, that's probably where I would go to. I'm just saying. Buddhism's got some, there's some attractive aspects to that. I kind of like some of that stuff, but
Let's talk about the stimulus.
let's talk about the stimulus bill. Please, let's move on.
Jordan's grandma has a Bible that's a
Stimulus bill.
That's a Norwegian Bible.
Oh, that's dope.
It's like this thick.
All in Norwegian?
Old. Like old. Like the cover.
It's a Nordic cow.
It's
That's
old.
It's a hardy
bro.
cow.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the first places that in the old world for it to that religion to spread up into
they're
that
white as
area.
fuck.
Yes, they are.
It's cool.
Thank you for
Jordan's
putting it so
family is-
succinctly.
Jordan's family is white forever.
Likewise.
Our other family's like from Wisconsin or some shit like that. I'm telling you, they're white forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to get any whiter than Wisconsin in America. That's all I'm saying.
So I believe that it was on Thursday that the bill was passed in the House.
Yep.
It was just earlier in the week it was passed in the Senate, and then on Friday, right? Friday that it was signed by Joe Biden.
Yep.
President
Yep,
Biden.
yep.
So
Some people will see stimulus checks this weekend.
that's what I heard. I've been
Yep.
checking my account. I was really hoping it would happen before the show.
Because you're a direct deposit guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would happen before the show just so I could be like, Colin, I was like the first person to get a stimulus check. But
Oh man.
it didn't. So
242 pages,
and
which
this
is a
the
lot
American-
smaller.
The American Recovery Plan.
The
American
America Rescue Plan
That's what it is.
Act.
Recovery.
I love this. It's the stupidest name.
That is.
The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
That's dumb.
Just drop the plan.
So we're gonna kind of go over this category by category. Usually we use this Bible that I have here that we just kind of run through. So the first thing I have here, obviously direct payments. That's what everyone has been concerned about. That's what, man, I watched a little Vice News video.
Ooh.
It was like a 4-minute video about the stimulus package. And after we go through this, I have some questions here that I want to ask you about the stimulus package
Okay.
that are kind of bigger picture opinion type questions that I've picked up from
Love it.
listening to Commentary Podcast, Shapiro, Rising, just different things that they said that I want to get your take on. So I'm excited for this conversation today.
It's going to be good. 'Cause
So-
there's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Excluding the stuff we talked about last episode, that
Right.
stuff that didn't really change.
Right. So the direct payments are essentially the same, right?
Yep.
$1,400 to people who made under $75,000, couples under $140,000, plus $1,400 for dependents, and you can even do adult dependents and stuff like that. Those have been included here. It phases out between $75,000 and $80,000. What a dumb fucking $5,000. What a stupid window.
What a weird, I know.
Dumb. Anyway, after $80,000, you don't get shit. Larry, there was something here that we were meant to ask Larry about when he was on the podcast that we didn't. That's in reference to stimulus checks, the recovery rebate credit, right? If you didn't get your stimulus checks from the other plans, when you file your taxes, there's something you do on there, work with the person, obviously it'll be on fucking TurboTax or whatever the fuck, that if you didn't get your previous checks, you're going to get them in your return here through the recovery rebate credit. And I mentioned that because the next thing I have is unemployment. And in the unemployment extension they did, it's $300 through September 9th, I believe is what I have here. Yeah, September 9th. And with that, they made the first $10,200 of your unemployment insurance of 2020
Yes.
non-taxable so long as you made less than $150,000.
Yep.
So that's part of why I say that, because if you haven't filed your taxes yet, obviously now is a good time, and you claimed unemployment, then this is a good time to do it. If you did file your taxes already, you can go onto the IRS website, irs.com, irs.org, whatever, and you can amend them for free. That will obviously help you pay much less in taxes, since there's going to be almost $11,000 that you're not going to be taxed on. So
Yep.
that's really nice.
IRS.gov.
Yes, so that's nice. So make sure that you're doing that, and that's why I mentioned those two things. So if you didn't get your checks and you filed for unemployment last year, get you some money, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Get
'cause
you
that,
some money.
That was a huge deal when the increases were first talked about. Was
Yeah.
the fact that this was going to be taxable income.
Right.
It's like, yeah, they're giving in one hand and smacking your face with the other hand. But I'm glad that this is being approached like this. I do want to ask you,
Yes.
if you go back to last episode, I am fairly sure that there was the original House bill had an increase from the $300.
Yes.
Yeah, because they were looking for $4, and so that went back down to $300.
Back down to $3.
Interesting.
And that was in exchange for it to be extended a little bit longer.
Out to September 3rd.
Out to September 9th. Yeah.
9th. Okay.
Yeah, previously I don't have written down here what it was before, but it wasn't quite as long. So
Yeah,
this is
it
Joe
was like in
Manchin.
August.
Yes.
I think it was in August at some point originally. Yeah.
So give them a couple more weeks of
So that's why.
unemployment at a slightly lower rate.
So, and that date, that September 9th, that is kind of the cutoff date for any of these clauses in the bill that do end up stopping. Because some of them don't. Some
Right.
things in this bill are just, the same things that they always do, appropriating money different places. One of the things we'll talk about later, one of my special topics for you. So that is, oh crap, I forgot the point I was going to make. Either way. Yeah, these are all those provisions are sunsetting on that September 9th date.
Yes.
So as you go through, just because I noticed when you're reading these bills, right? I mean, like, this was a 200-some page bill. But when you actually learn how to read a bill, and you realize that there's a few sentences, everything is so procedural that you go through it, and they say that a lot of the same exact things. And so you kind of like see these phrases, and you almost kind of become somewhat of a speed reader in a way. It's like 200-some pages for a bill is much easier to get through than 200-some pages of like a book, right? Because you skip fucking half of it most of the time.
Right.
But yeah, that was... So just so we don't have to say every single time, this one stops here, this one stops here. Any of these things that we say are temporary. September 9th.
Yeah. No, that's good. So that's all that I have.
Which is weird in general. Why September?
September 9th is after the August recess in Congress, which is why.
Oh.
So
as they come back.
So the concern before is that the prior date in August was before the August recess. So if they didn't have something figured out, they were going to have to stay and couldn't take the recess. So this was extended until after the August recess.
So they can
so
go
that
home.
They could go home.
Well, I guess,
So, just in case anyone thought for a second they
Yeah.
actually gave a fuck. It's really so they can
Yeah.
keep their vacation.
We pay you hundreds of
That's okay.
thousands of dollars to do your job for us. You don't do it. You blatantly lie to us and try to steal money from us, but you deserve your homestay. That's all I'm saying.
So the
I hate these people so much, Donovan. I'm
terrible.
sorry.
It's really terrible,
It's
man.
been a rough one.
It's really
So anyways, but that's good. This is a benefit that I think, just given the times, I'm not in love with any of this type of stuff in principle, just through libertarianism. But at the same
Right.
time, they're the ones that made it so that you're financially hurting now. So I don't feel bad here. You deserve this money. And if you were to ask me, you deserve a hell of a lot more than just that. But
I want to touch on that for a second. Something you said, like that. I don't agree with this kind of as a whole. Right?
Yeah.
And that's something that.
in a utopian sense.
No. I think you're right.
Right.
All right. I agree with you, and I want to speak to that because I think that's something that gets lost often on people who don't tread on me. You're goddamn right.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I
Do the.
think this happens
Oh, what's up, Lance?
A
Shout
lot.
out, Sid.
with people who aren't as into politics as we are. So tell me if you experience this, right?
Uh-huh.
When we discuss things that are going on, like this bill that's going to pass, right? Like, well, this is happening. These are, the details of it. Like, oh, well, we shouldn't be doing it anyway. It's gonna, it's gonna add this much to the deficit, and blah blah blah. And I'm not in favor of that, and I'm not in favor of welfare and all this stuff. That's fine. But that's not what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
These are larger policy discussions that I'm more than happy to have on any given day. But at this point in time,
Any given Sunday?
any given Sunday. But at this point in time, We're talking about this stimulus bill, the details of the stimulus bill, how this is going to work out. So let's not get bogged down or go off on any tangents about like, well, I'm morally opposed to this. So that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
As am I.
So am I.
But this is where we're at. We're $8 trillion in debt now, more than we were before 2020. That's fine.
This is just
I
the
agree.
reality of the world that
This
we
is
live
where
in.
we're at now.
You
And
know?
it's the same thing as, like we were talking about in the pre-show, that I have my personal ideals, my personal morals and ideologies that deep inside myself, I feel that any gun law is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Do I think that's a realistic implementation on America today? No, I don't.
we
Because
just
most
can't.
people don't feel that way, which is
Yeah.
fine. I think with enough time and understanding, I'd like to think that they would, but I recognize that that's not the reality of America. So I also have a secondary set of ideals that are slightly more compromised to my deep core ones that I am, willing to discuss for legislation or legislative purposes.
Yeah.
You know
Because
what I'm
at
saying?
the end of the day, you gotta.
Right.
It's the game.
Yes.
You're in the game, or you're not going to participate in the game, right? In my perfect libertarian utopian world, none of this would be true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is what is happening. I don't like it. You don't like it. You may like it. I don't really care because this is what's actually happening around us. So yeah, I don't think I could have said it better myself. I don't like agreeing
Right.
that the federal government, like, I don't think any of this $1.9 trillion technically should be happening.
Right.
Right. But it's
But
what's
this is
happening.
where we're at now. Yeah.
And if it's going to go somewhere,
Right.
let's just
Right.
let's be realistic here, people. That's all.
I got asked about, or I asked somebody about Bitcoin, the other- just kind of like a toss away,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, fucking Bitcoin. It was like a story that I heard about Bitcoin, just like a funny thing.
Uh-huh.
Got into this whole thing about, devaluation of the American dollar and interest rates and blah, blah, blah. I know that. I know that. I know.
I know.
I know. I'm just trying to tell you a funny story about Bitcoin. That's all.
That's
I
all,
just
man.
wanted. I was like listening to an old podcast, and they were talking about. They're like, "Oh yeah, Bitcoin hit $18 the other day,"
Oh.
and I could have thrown up. Right, I could have thrown up because I'm like, "Oh, it's at upwards of $50,000 now." So the idea that at one point in time, in really the near past, it was around $20
Not that long ago.
is insanity. That's all.
me go
Just
to
sharing
Coinbase.
this thing. Like I said, it turns into this whole discussion of devaluing the dollar and different currencies and investing in this and stocks. It's
like, bro, that's not what I was even
got it.
talking about.
Right, right. I just wanted to have a laugh about what.
Oh.
It's up to
It's
60.
60.
We broke
Oh.
60. Bitcoin broke
How
60
did
grand.
that just
Holy
happen?
tits.
Whoa. Okay. All right. That.
Okay. So.
Woo! I need a cigarette. I need.
Right.
What was that all
So
about?
my point is, yeah, when someone tells you a joke, let it be a joke.
Yes.
When someone discusses one thing with you, try to let it be about this one thing. I feel
Yeah.
maybe
It's
maybe
context.
that's not like a common problem. Maybe it's just because we're so deep in politics. That's like, I got that. I agree with you, but let's move on from that. Let's talk about this
This
thing here.
particular moment
'cause
in
this is
time,
where we're at.
due to the nature of the ecosystem that we live in
Right.
and occupy, there's an increase of those people and those types of conversations,
Yeah.
right? Because everybody's got an opinion and they
Yes.
want to tell you what it is.
Because they're the first ones that have thought that.
Yes.
It's revolutionary.
Yes. 'Cause
Say
we're-
the two guys
yeah.
that put their own fucking voices on the internet for 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so child tax credit. This is a big
Yes.
one for me. It took me a really long time to really understand, especially because because we're so deep, and there was other bills that I actually got confused with. Right.
Yeah.
So the way that it sits in the rescue plan, right, is the child tax credit that was previously expanded. Excuse me. In the Donald Trump tax cuts and all of that, right? It was expanded from $1,000 to $2,000 per year. It was pretty sick, right?
Yep.
Let me tell
For
you,
you guys.
you don't have to make that much money for that to stop making a difference.
Right.
So you really don't. I swear to God.
Just remember, an extra
Anyway.
$300 a month is a car payment.
Right. So this child tax credit was expanded again from $2,000 to $3,600 for if you have children under 6, or $3,000 for every child over 6 and 17 and under, which is pretty fucking cool, right? This will come. Hey, Mama Offie checking in. What's up, Mama Offie?
Hola.
This will come in the form of monthly payments of $300 or $200 and whatever dollars if I don't know, whatever 3,000 is divided by 12. I'm not going to take a second to do the math. I'm sure
I will.
one
Keep
thinks
talking.
that. Yeah. The payments will start in July, and they'll go from July to December. So it's obviously not going to be the full $3,600 or $3,000 because it's just going to be half of the year. $2,500. So there you go. Oh, $250 a month. Is that what?
Oh, yeah.
$3,000 divided by 12. is what
3,000.
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
20.
So-
yeah, $250.
Work. So either checks of $300 a month or $250 a month. Either way,
And that's a good.
that's not a negligible
No.
amount if you are a low income person. Right?
That would allow some people, say, that have to work a few hours of overtime or like an hour of overtime every day or something like that. Maybe those people wouldn't have to do that.
Yes. And that's one of the big.
Tried to personalize that
It
one.
made me hate America so much for a second because one of the arguments from Republicans against this was like, well, it might make people work less. Dear God, dear fucking God fucking forbid that a single mother or a single father spend more time at home and less at a fucking job. God fucking forbid, dude. I'm telling you, me and my sister, single mother, the idea that she could maybe have not worked a second job, that would have been fucking great for her to spend. Maybe she isn't so exhausted when she comes home because she can take 2 hours, 3 hours off a week. God forbid.
Yep.
God forbid a parent spend more time with their child. Fuck you. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. It's, to hold conservative values, it's like, you're a bitch, dude. You're a little bitch.
So the argument that they are
We're the
trying to
party
make,
of
right?
families.
Yeah, because there's no language in this bill about marriage.
I hate it.
So, because when you look at that, right? Because that's per child, right?
Yes.
So, if you are, do you understand where their argument comes from, though? Like, what point yes, right?
Yes.
Because
but I don't think it's valid.
no, but why? The reason why not is because the true face of poverty doesn't look like what they think it looks like.
Right.
Right. That's one of those. That is a
In rare
minority
instances.
of cases in the poverty community. Right. Most people in poverty are working their balls off, but are hamstrung by something. And
Because it's
$300, $250 a month
Yeah.
could make the difference and move them from poverty into, the lower middle class. Bing, bang, boom,
Yeah.
you're moving up in the world.
And even if you're on
Conservative
that
values.
cusp, like, help you pay off debt. That can
Yeah.
that could be another bedroom in a house. If you're able to buy a small home, that's another
Yeah.
bedroom in a house because you have $300 more a month that you can go to a mortgage payment. Like, there are so many things.
How about this one? A healthier diet, because
Healthy
good,
diet.
healthy food is not as cheap.
Right.
Because it's not more expensive. Because
Yeah.
to eat healthy is not that expensive, but it is cheaper to eat like garbage.
That's a Costco membership and a monthly trip to Costco.
Done.
Just right there. If you
Yup.
couldn't afford it before, now you can buy good food in bulk. You know what
Look
I'm
at
saying?
that. Look at that.
Yeah. There's, like you said, a car that if you only have $100 for a car payment before, now you have $400. You could get a
Yep.
really fucking great car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there will always be cases like that one. Oh God, how many years ago was it? It was a long time, probably a decade or so ago now, because this was back in my O'Reilly days, right? There was that lady in Brooklyn who had like 10 kids.
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't have a job, but with
Right.
10 kids, you can get by. Who's gonna take care of all these kids? Remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that thing? It was a viral video at the time, but
And you can't.
that's their stereotypical picture of what poverty looks like.
Right.
That's that one case. Those situations like that are what they're talking about there. But just like the elites at the top of the government that are
Right.
doing all these beautiful utopian ideals, they don't actually understand how we live, the normal blue-collar American. The conservatives up there in that realm also don't understand what poverty looks like.
Right.
They oh yeah, homeless people, blah blah blah. Like no. There's a whole threshold of people that get assistance periodically as they grow up. Good things, bad things. It moves up and moves down, but you're always having to work that extra job to get
Right.
by. That's what true poverty looks like, and most of those people are working the two jobs.
Well, and
That's
can't,
working your ass off.
the same way a Second Amendment person will argue. There are gun deaths. You can't make laws and legislate based off of the choices of few people. There are obviously people who will choose to take advantage of the system.
Yeah.
You cannot
There's always gonna be.
legislate and create guidance for an entire nation based off of a tiny minority of people that are going to take it. You can't do anything about that.
No.
There's nothing to do about those people taking advantage of this. You're going to weed them all out, which is someone's job. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? It's many people whose job it is to find people taking advantage of the system, reclaim that money, and move on with their day. That's a whole person's job. You can't do anything about that. But you also, like I said, you can't dictate policy for a whole nation based off of the fear that a small amount of them will take advantage of it.
Which is our argument probably against most of the policies being pushed by, the progressives, because
So,
they're trying to do the
yes.
same thing, but under auspices of help.
Even that's one of the things that I have written down here, right? Even to Ben Shapiro, because this was on the 8th of March. He said, "Why are we giving checks to people with jobs?" Right, and then also the child tax credit, and this is a quote: "Child tax credit incentivizes people to have kids and a low income."
Yep.
I don't think that's my argument against that. First of all, would be this one is only for the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's only for this year. So the idea that this incentivizes people to have a low income and more kids is fucking stupid. It's
If
not
you're making that
logically
decision,
sound.
you're making real bad decisions in life.
Second of all, and this should cut deep to Ben Shapiro, a conservative who is by all means anti-high taxes, right?
Yeah.
That only incentivizes people to have low income and more children if there are no benefits to making more money. If it doesn't make sense to make more money because you will, if it doesn't offset, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If there's no incentive to make more money, then of course it incentivizes you to make less money. But that's, and my point to the taxes,
That's
right,
kind of
is-
a similar
do you know what I'm
argument.
saying? Is as you start to make more money, the
Yeah.
idea is hopefully, at least in Ben Shapiro's eye, you're going to make or you're going to be taxed more, but not to the point that it will be a detriment to you. You know what I'm saying? So it will make more sense. Even if I'm going to raise to a higher tax bracket, I'm still going to bring home more money,
Yeah.
and it's still going to make sense for me to not be on the system.
It's
Is
it's a-
that
it's
a
a
sound?
Yeah, it's a
Does that make
similar.
sense?
It's a very similar argument to the UBI argument. It's very, very similar.
Yes.
A lot of this occupies a lot of the same space, I think.
And I don't think that's a valid.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, especially $300 a month. That's
Yeah.
not
It's
the amount of kids you would have to make that offset. And then again, you have fucking 10 children. Like, it's not like you just, well, fuck it, you have 10 children. Like, you have 10 kids you have to take care of.
that's true.
There are 10 of them. And I'm telling you, with just one, I don't want 10. So I can't imagine the
You
type
would
of
have
person
imploded
that
already,
it would.
bro.
They were like,
my
oh yeah,
God.
it's totally worth it for me to keep pumping out kids to get an extra $300 a month.
That's
Like,
no way to exist, man.
no.
Not even the
No.
Octomom loves her life.
To even make, I mean, what's minimum to make minimum wage? It's fucking like 5 kids or something like that. So that doesn't
Yeah.
that
So-
doesn't wash out, man.
No,
it doesn't wash out.
work out in the end.
Especially every 6 years, you gotta like 12 years, you have to have another kid to offset the $100, $200 you're losing.
Yeah.
It's
It-
no good.
But it's also it is a point that should be raised, right? Because out of 100 people that are going to get this, how many of them are not or going to be using it fraudulently like that, right?
Small percentage.
It's not zero,
Gonna say less than 1%,
right?
though.
But it's not zero.
Right.
So but that's the same with everything.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with everything. So no matter what happens, I mean, it's a welfare program's a welfare program essentially, right?
Yeah.
That's, like I said, it's going to exist no matter what. So you can make the point, but I don't see why you don't have to rail on it every show.
Right.
Maybe put the argument across every now and again when it's valid, just to put it out there. But, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And so one of the things, well, let's address this here. The majority of people in America do not know poverty. While I've not experienced other than just being broke, I've seen real poverty in people that lived in East Berlin was horrible, and the people destitute. And that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Even, and this is
And that's
to
another
put it
whole
on
type
on a grand scale type of deal.
Yeah.
Even most people who live in poverty in America on a grand scale of global poverty
Yeah.
is not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say not genuine poverty, but like I said, on a global scale, it's not true poverty because, and I don't know exactly what the statistic is, but like people in America are in the 1% of the world as it is.
I
because
don't
it's-
like the word privilege, but being born a free American in 2021 is kind of a dope ass privilege over the
It's a
rest of the
gift if
world.
nothing else.
It's pretty
Yeah.
dope. Like I like that. I feel like I'm better than most people because I have that. You know what I mean? I have more rights than anyone else on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Because of that. If that is not by definition technically a privileged position, I hate that word now.
And the
I
first,
hate it.
the first question I asked you about, well, the first quote that I read you about Ben Shapiro, why are we giving checks to people with jobs? I thought it was really interesting because I saw almost an exact counter argument to it on Rising from Sagar, which is so because they're both conservatives, right? Sagar's like almost a conservative in name only, right?
Almost.
Yeah, almost conservative in name only.
Yeah.
I love you, but you're almost a conservative in name only.
You don't
Sagar.
need to wear the suit. We'll say that.
And so Sagar said, it's like we're giving checks to people with jobs because so many of these people don't. It's being done still on your 2019 taxes, maybe your 2020 taxes.
Yeah.
Either way, it's whichever one you made less money on, you know. You made less money in 2020. You weren't making as much as you were in 2019. You probably need a little bit of help, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was an odd, especially when the cutoff is at $80,000. Like it's not.
You still got to make $80,000 to get on.
But just not for one person, you know. Like if you were a single person living in most places making $80,000 a year, you're living a decent life. But if you're living in any type of big city or something like that, that's not that much money.
No.
Like that, you know what I'm saying?
Like that's an apartment, and
Even then, it very much depends on where you live. And I'm not trying to qualify or anything, you know. But
I would say most single people that make $80,000 are probably living in a city.
yes,
We'll say that.
the
The demographic is pretty focused.
In which case, you're not living a flush lifestyle because you live in a big city. A beer costs you fucking $12. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, even in Seattle, a beer is $9. $9.
Well, I mean, it's
for
not
a
much
pint
better.
of beer.
It's not much better out here, you know. I mean, it's
It's
still expensive.
$56. It's not $9.
That's true.
It's not
That's true.
$9. I just want to take a moment to remind everybody to go ahead and follow us on all of our social medias. We have our personal social media at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Don on Instagram. Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both of those things. You can find all this information on saltofthestreets.com. We also have our YouTube at Salt of the Streets. Thank you everyone for joining us here. We have our Instagram at Salt of the Streets and our Facebook, fuck Facebook, at Salt of the Streets. I believe that's everything. Clubhouses, Salt of the Street, Big Bird Offie.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure that's it. Thank you
dunked
very much.
on it.
Yeah.
Thank God for that timer, by the way.
Yeah. So I think I find it odd, you know, the Ben Shapiro arguments.
I get them because they're principled conservative stances, and I don't like to hear him die on those hills, but principled.
Right.
That's the problem with a lot of the conservative arguments. They're so principled they don't take into account real life.
Yeah.
Because it's all about morals and ethics and doing
Come
the
on,
right
guys.
thing. So
moving
but that's
on
good.
from
So
there.
that's monthly.
Yes, moving on
is
from there,
nice.
one of the reasons that I was confused about this, right, is before this bill was passed, Mitt Romney came forward and announced that he had a bill, and the bill itself was never fully introduced. It was kind of introduced as an amendment counter to this one, just to kind of try and push this one forward, it seems like, but the bill does exist somewhere. Right, and now
It's
that
out
this
there in the ether.
Now that this has happened, there are discussions of trying to make this child tax credit permanent with a new bill. Right, so it's not out of the question yet. This Mitt Romney bill, when he talked about it, was $4,200 for children under 6 years old and $3,000 for children between 6 and 17, and you could choose whether it was going to be monthly installments or you were going to get a lump sum when you filed your taxes. So that's when I was texting you and Larry. I'm like, I don't understand this. I haven't seen this. And that's why I got confused, is because it was all kind of mixed into the same thing.
I could not find the bill, but I found some articles on the bill.
And that's because he
they
never
were dated a while
introduced-
back, and I was like, huh.
And that's because he never introduced the actual bill. He just kind of brought it up and was like, hey, we should do
this
this.
Romney thing.
And was like, if you guys don't do it, I'm going to do the right thing. Because I'm Mitt Romney. So
I'm Mitt Romney, and I'm from Utah.
So
you know
the
what
bill
that
itself
means.
was never introduced, but it was introduced as an amendment on this. But there are a lot of people, the whispers are happening already of this becoming more permanent. There are a lot of people, Ben Shapiro tweeting, you know, this is the start of a UBI in America. And there are many people who think that. I'd
be lying if I
it's
disagreed.
possible. It's certainly possible. You know,
I wouldn't disagree with
$300.
it.
Yeah, so it's possible.
The possibility certainly exists, and it's greater than zero.
However, one argument that I heard in favor of the child tax credit came from Sagar, which I did not agree with, right? It was that he thought that it was a good thing because the biggest thing deterring people from having children is money, and so we should incentivize people to have more children by giving them this thing.
It's not entirely true, but it's not false.
From a personal standpoint,
Yeah.
I don't know why we're incentivizing anybody to have more children.
Word.
There are too many people on the planet. I don't think
Because
that's
we
what
have
we need.
pensions to pay for,
We don't
Donovan.
need to incentivize more children. I don't understand that. That's
Do you
not
want
something
Social
I
Security?
get.
Then pop out the babies.
It's a weird deal.
Somebody's
So,
got to pay for these.
Yeah,
These
we need
olds.
more people to have babies and to have the option. No, if you don't want kids, don't have kids. I
Yes.
don't need more of that. No.
Yeah. Well,
No.
that comes, I think, from another principled type argument.
Yeah.
The birth rate in the United States is at
dipped,
crisis levels.
It dipped for the first time in like a decade or something.
Yeah, and it's not going in a good direction.
And when I heard that, I messaged you, and I was like, "This sounds like a good thing to me." Like this,
Exactly.
the birth rate, the life expectancy, they both
Yes.
dipped this year. I'm like, "Good, fucking good, fucking good,
Fucking good. So less olds and less kids. This is less people in the
fucking
world.
good, dude."
I need some more room out here. Oh, well, but the reason why that's bad to them.
Yes.
Would you? I don't even really care. I'm just going to tell you
get
anyways.
it.
Because we have systems in place, right, that aren't going to go
Right.
anyway. We've talked, conservatives have talked about like the date Social Security is going to, dry up and be gone unless
Right.
we dump, unless taxes go way up and everybody pays more for it. Like we have all these systems in place that will spell the end of the American economic system if we do not continue the required rate of reproduction and growth within the population, which in itself is terrifying. The fact that it exists is terrifying, and the fact that it could happen, especially now, is also terrifying. So I understand where they're coming from, but I'm more along your side. I'm more of a let it burn type of guy.
Yeah.
So I'm on that side. If you're not ready for kids, which in the millennial generation, much less the Gen Zers and stuff, there's like no talk about kids. I mean, and you see that even, I think, amongst our friends groups and things. I mean, like there's a lot of people just aren't having kids.
Yeah.
Just because they don't.
Good.
They're like, no, I'm good. And
Good.
that's not a bad thing.
Two things, then we'll move on to the next part. One, the Mitt Romney bill, the tax credit would also eliminate the existing child tax credit, right? It would expand it, and it would also eliminate TANF. Which we
TANF.
talked about the last time we were here. It's temporary assistance for needy families. It's cash assistance for low-income families. Would eliminate the TANF program, eliminate the current child tax credit, and we'll replace it with this. So, just to add that. The second thing, one of the reasons, fuck the birth rate and fuck all that shit. On the way here, there was an old man driving in front of me, right?
Oh,
driving
boy.
super duper slow.
Oh, yeah.
So I decided I'm on
Problematic.
Viking Way, just coming into Paulsville. He pulls out of one of the businesses. He's driving really slow. Okay, I'm going to go around him. So
Move
I
the other way?
around him. I can see him. I literally can see him looking at me in his side mirror. Speeds up as I'm trying to pass. And laughing. I
These
swear to
damn
God.
kids!
Swear to God, he's laughing.
That's
right?
dangerous.
So, right. To the point that we're going like 45 on Viking Way, which is like 30. So we're going, I'm not like, we're going 10 over, but like, we're in the middle of town and we're going 10 over because this guy's fucking with me and won't just let me get in front of him. So he starts to slow down. So I sped up again and got in front of him. And then we're stopped at a line of cars waiting to turn right to go like down onto Bond Road and shit. He's looking at me through his windows. Good job. And he's laughing. Fuck you. You did this. So we make the turn.
He was looking for a game to play, and you played with him.
So we make the
You
turn.
probably don't
and
have any friends,
I
Donovan,
go
all
to
right?
turn left on
You
Bond
made
Road,
this old man's day.
and he goes straight. And as I'm turning, he's going straight, and he's honking at me the whole time. Bam, 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 bam. Bro, get a fucking life, my G.
Whoa.
Get a life.
That's
I'm just trying to go
terrifying.
record a podcast. So this is what I'm trying to think of my hill to die on. And I'm like, my hill to die on might just be like, if you don't have shit else to do with your day, then fuck off. Because I just couldn't believe, like, he has a disabled sticker and everything. And you're like, why are you doing this?
He's just
I
angry.
just want to fucking turn and to drive the speed limit. It's insanity. So fuck it. Fuck the death rate. Fuck all that shit.
Let him go.
Fuck him. Fuck him. Get off the road. Fuck him. That was horrible. I hated it. Okay. Yeah.
That was good. That's healthy.
PPP. So, the Paycheck Protection Program.
P.
$7.25 billion added to the Paycheck Protection Program. Also expanded to nonprofits, advocacy groups, and some light lobbying.
Yeah.
Why are
What
we
was that?
paying
What
any
was that?
lobbyists? Like, we're just gonna sneak this in here. The Republicans are like, oh, we didn't get anything in this bill, nothing at all.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
What are
So
we doing here?
apparently, we're gonna federally, subsidize some lobbying for the next few months because they have lives too.
So what you're saying is that the government is paying off the lobbyists. I wonder which ones they're paying off.
Who
The
are
ones that hired them?
convincing them to
Yeah.
do things.
Yeah, the
They're
ones-
paying themselves to be taken out to lunch.
I believe that's called a bribe.
Odd. Odd. This political game that we
Some
have
people
here.
say bailout. Some people say bribe.
It's also expanded to larger nonprofit companies. Past that, education. This has been a big thing, education.
Yes.
Especially now, let's preface this, right? We received CDC guidance, expanded CDC guidance this week that said that adults and compromised elderly people who are fully vaccinated can now associate freely with unvaccinated children and young adults, and like it's all good to go. So naturally, questions start to arise in the press briefings for Jen Psaki. I don't think I wrote anything down on it. That's like, so, we have these new guidelines for people to be able to affiliate in their homes with private individuals and like kind of do what they want. It's like, so how does this reflect on schools? And she's like, well, the guidance for schools is different than this guidance for for this. So we want to make sure that we follow the guidance from the CDC. And the person's like, wait. How is this any different than schools, especially if we're now investing millions and millions of dollars in schools to update the
Billions.
the ventilation systems, the schools themselves, the windows, social distancing, all this stuff. How do these indoor guidelines for elderly people, which was the concern on the teacher side to begin with, was elderly teachers, right?
Yep.
If it's okay now for our grandmothers and our grandfathers and our grand-Zs who were stuck inside of nursing homes this whole time to now involve themselves with young adults, is it not then okay to assume that it might be safe for the teachers to go back? And she's like, I don't know, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I don't want to get ahead of any policy decisions.
We got to make
on
sure
the part
the
of-
teachers return to a safe
That's right.
environment.
Got to make sure that it's safe.
Safe.
because
It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah. Did you
Just
see?
safety.
This is a little aside. There was video surfaced
Oh, yes.
from the teachers
Oh, yes.
union. I'll fuck you up, bitch. Oh my god. Oh my god, bro.
And that's
Tell
like not
me-
even the first one. There's been multiples of these things, like school district, school
horrible.
boards getting together and then talking some crazy shit, and they're
Oh, 'cause
all
they want their
old,
babysitters
so they
back.
don't understand how the internet
Dude.
works. So they don't know that they're live, and they're talking shit about parents who are complaining that these people are not doing their jobs and going to
they're
schools
watching.
and teaching their children
Yeah.
so they can go to work to pay for the house that they live in. They're making fun of them.
It's insanity.
It is.
It's insanity
It
that
is. It's
and
very
then-
upsetting.
And I've been stuck in this, and we should talk about it maybe on the next show. We'll talk about unions. We should just have a union topic, right? Because I'm stuck
Won't be
in
much
this,
talking on. It'll be a lot
in
of fucking
this
on.
world of like, at its core, a union has a place in America.
Used to good.
Unions have
Yep.
a place in America. But there's no good example to point at to be like, this is why.
not
This
anymore.
is why a union is here. Because this is the shit that's happening. Even the one that's supposed to be the most public service.
Yep.
For the best of everybody, because we're here for your kids.
And not only that,
Just
this is
kidding.
a public sector union.
Dude.
These are taxpayer funded
Yes.
unions. Think of it like a like a government funded
And teachers are making
Nonprofit.
jokes about fucking up parents because they're asking them to go back to school.
Yep.
Even a fraction of the
Even-
days a week.
And
Give me
when-
part-time.
And when the CDC says, dude, you're fine.
Yeah.
This is why they've hammered so much on that.
Because-
We need to make sure teachers are a priority with vaccinations.
Right.
Because I can't tell you what I really think because I'll get in trouble.
Because the CDC has already said prior to this update last week
Yep.
that vaccinations for teachers was not mandatory to reopen schools.
Yep.
Not mandatory at all.
But you can't say that. That's hate speech. That's hate speech, Donovan.
It's
dangerous.
insanity.
You're going to get censored.
It's insanity. I have a cousin. I really need to get over myself. I have a cousin in Florida who's a teacher. She's like an elementary school teacher, and I am certain that she would come on here and let us interview her to just talk to her about, she's fucking in Florida, so they taught the whole time.
Yeah.
When school started, they started school. That's
Yep.
how they did it. So she was posting pictures the whole time of like, umbrellas and shit and circles taped out on the floor and all the bullshit that she had to go through just to reopen the schools.
Yep.
And then I stopped being on Facebook, so I stopped seeing any of that shit,
Healthy.
But I'm certain that she would come on here and Zoom with us about what it was like to because
That'd be dope.
even now
Yeah.
it's in Washington State, it's just the young kids that are going to school.
Yeah.
And just yesterday Inslee was like, "Look, open them up.
Open 'em
Let's
up.
open up the fucking schools."
They gave us a bunch
Yeah,
of money.
it's-
Open everything up.
Yeah, I can't with
I have details
So-
on that for when we talk about our reopening.
So for the education, there's $128 billion in grants to state education agencies, focused, at local schools, so allocated not to big bodies, but to the schools themselves, or hopefully at least the districts. Who fucking knows at this point? I mean, $34 billion to higher education programs. Let's take a stop here, right?
Howard University.
Colleges and all of these things, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they continue to collect tuition checks this whole time, even though they had students that were like doing online schooling and not
Donovan,
staying
that
at the
seems
colleges
very
and all
like
this shit?
fraudulent, wouldn't it? Why they wouldn't do that?
Right.
They definitely did do that.
And now $34 billion is going to be allocated to different higher education programs, even though they continue. Do you know why? It's because sports were such a huge income, and they are so unwilling to acknowledge that sports
Yeah.
are not just sports, and they're like actual,
It's an actual
revenue
market.
sources
Yeah.
for these schools. Yeah, because that might actually force them to, I don't know, pay people whose talents are being exploited, and just, maybe more than just
college football,
It's just
college
insanity, bro.
basketball, college sports, making
It's
money.
insanity, just
Billions.
billions of dollars, literally billion-dollar markets for
Yep.
football and basketball.
And nobody gets paid.
Here's a scholarship. Yeah, no, they get paid under the table, and then they get all their shit taken away. The coaches get fired, the schools get fined, the programs get shut down for a decade,
Yep.
and then they have to rebuild after that because they did what they should be allowed to do in the first place. This is insane. I'm not even advocating for millions of dollars to go to young kids because I think that's a bad idea. But for them to not be given anything at all, and for the schools to literally make millions and billions of dollars off of their likelihood, their numbers, their
For it
jerseys,
to be
their
against
skills,
the rules to do that.
it's
is
insanity.
insane.
Insanity. Insanity.
Yep. That's
so,
right.
higher education, though, right?
Yep.
$15 billion to child care block grants, student loan, and also there's a provision here for student loan forgiveness done between December 31st, 2020, and January 1st, 2026 will be non-taxable, and that I believe is in regards to people who, had federally backed student loans that were able to pause their payments for X period of time, and so that's just so you don't get extra taxes based on these payments, right?
That's what I believe. That's
So
the way
that's
I read
good.
it.
And also, is it possible that this also benefits any further student loan forgiveness that's done federally, like through Joe Biden or something like that?
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. I mean,
Because
they
that
didn't
was
really
in,
talk about that.
in the Vice News video. They went through all these things and were like, two things not in the bill: student loan forgiveness, $15 minimum wage. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
I knew that Z would be doing that during that Vice News section. Yeah, that just totally makes sense.
Pretty funny. So, after that, we have some support for low-income communities. $4.5 billion for elderly assistance and a boost to the boost in WIC value. And if you've never received
$35.
yeah, which doesn't sound like that much. I was trying to think about this, right?
Yeah.
My sister, when she had her first kid, she got WIC, right? And you still get WIC checks, right? They're paper checks, and on the check, it says what you can get on there.
Okay.
So it's like one block of cheese for this, one, X amount of peanut butter, X amount of milk, X amount of this, things that say on there. So it doesn't sound like that much, but if you're taking these things, you're adding $35 in value to these weekly checks. That you can, and I'm
That could go a long way.
certainly it could be more, but if
Yeah, but it could go a long way.
yes,
You
if
know.
we're the things that are on there, because it's only a handful of things, it's not that much stuff. So
Yeah.
$35 spread over 12 items of base value.
Maybe you're
is-
upping your dozen eggs to 18 eggs.
Do you know what I'm
you're,
saying?
You're getting the next size bag up of cheese.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are certain products that, like, if you go to the grocery store, have a tag on them that say WIC
Yep.
certified, and it's quality shit. It's not bad shit.
Yeah, a lot of it now is like it used to be government cheese,
Yeah.
and now it's it's right up there, man.
No, and it's good, and that's because I think that there's starting to be recognition that if you put such a stringent limit on what low income families can provide for themselves, they eat like shit.
Yeah.
And then you have unhealthy
Just like
people
we talked about earlier.
who are then a further drain on the system in the future. So
Yep.
if you just make it standard that the things you get are higher quality shit,
Yep.
your children are likely to be healthier when you get off of this set of government assistance, and maybe you only need 3 of the 4 next levels. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You don't need 4 of them.
I'm there.
So yeah,
I'm there.
So
you lower your costs for, say, something like Medicaid.
yeah, I'm a big fan in the future.
If I was ever in a food production business, I feel like I would need to do whatever kind of paperwork it was to make this high quality product, do the thing right, and ship it out, but do whatever paperwork it was for it to qualify for the WIC program.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be an
Worth it.
opt-in
Right.
program that any company that provides an item like that at the grocery store could do. Then possibilities are endless.
Yeah. No, I think that it's a good thing. $1.4 billion to old people shit, to that's what I wrote down, which is unfortunate. Just to expand different services, $37 million to food for elderly services, meal assistance for elderly services.
As far as, a lot of nursing homes and things, there are a bunch of them out there that are state funded and stuff like that.
Public health, $7.5 billion to track, distribute, and administer vaccines. I kept hearing Jen Psaki's like, we have all these vaccines. We don't have that many people who can give the vaccine. Why the fuck not? Like, what is so special about the COVID-19 vaccine that you need to be specially trained to administer this vaccine? Do you give the flu shot? Here's the fucking COVID vaccine.
Yep.
Start handing it out. I don't understand.
There's no reason any doctor or nurse
bureaucracy,
should be unable to administer that vaccine.
So today, when I was
When you go to the pharmacy, go get your flu shot by some,
they're a pharmacist.
A pharmacist,
Yes.
not a doctor.
They work in a Walgreens. Yeah.
They work at a Walgreens and they're going to give you a shot in the arm. That's who can do this.
When I was watching it today, was the one from yesterday, and she's like, well, we've expanded it to, dentists and dental assistants and all this shit. Why weren't they doing it before? So you're telling me dental clinics were closed, so they just did nothing at all. Just fuck your medical license. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Stay at home.
They give
no
you shots
use
of
for
Novocaine.
you. I don't understand. It's the
Yep.
the bureaucracy and the red tape and the bullshit behind, you know what I'm saying? Like, I only have my medical license in Washington, so I can't travel to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
There was an actual moment in time where that was a barrier. We're like, COVID-19 is horrible. This state doesn't have enough doctors. Oh, well, can't go there. Don't have my license there. Like, there was really a lapse where the federal government was like, wait. We have to write something to make it so that you can go and do that.
Yep.
This is ridiculous. I understand keeping people safe, and we want to, a level of, standard of health and all this shit. Fuck off. I don't understand how I don't know. I hate to get on it.
I love how spicy you are today.
Just to get
this is good.
from the Wild West of fucking murdering people and burying them in the dirt to like, my license isn't good in that state, so I can't come and help you save lives at a cost to myself. I'll pay for my own plane ticket and not get a salary to go there and to help you, but I'm not allowed because my license doesn't transfer.
Stay in the fence, comrade. Stay in the fence, comrade.
Insanity, bro.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Insanity.
Yep. Now, why these are a problem now, right? Why is Jen Psaki talking about this, that it's an issue? That's an issue. Because during the Trump administration, he did not want to try to handle this from the federal level.
No.
So I will get you what you need. You as a state know best how to handle your business. We will coordinate. We'll do whatever we need to do. But this is up to you guys. You know what you need. You just tell me what you need. I'll get to you. Cuomo asked for the ventilators. He gets the fucking ventilators, right? Inslee, you asked for this. Sometimes
military
there's some,
ships
pushing back.
outside New York that they don't use.
Word. But that's
But
why.
they ship people in a nursing home.
That's why because everything you're seeing, the 100 the mass vaccination clinics, we're supposed to be here already. And there's, I don't know, Ulysses Shapiro, he said 7. I can't find a good number on them, but there's not many.
Right.
It's because it wasn't supposed to be handled from the federal level because the federal government has no good idea of how to do this. Governors have a way better idea of how they should do it to best suit the needs of the state. Some people do it a hell of a lot poorly than others, but that's why that was a thing. It's, well, we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan. When they all got
Right.
in the office talking shit, it's because the plan was to let the states figure it out.
And at that
You just
point,
tell us what you need.
Right. And at that point, it's a difference in political ideology. And
Yes.
the conservative ideology of tell me what it costs and I'll give you the check.
Yep.
And the progressive ideology of I'll give you money and just spend it however you need it. Which is,
Federalization versus centralization.
right. Which is neither here nor there. Like I said, it's a policy decision. It's a
Yeah.
policy difference. It's whatever makes most sense to you as an individual is how you're going to run that. But yeah, the idea
That's the way
that-
the federal government is supposed to work. They're
Right.
supposed to be the top, the head honcho in the not the Confederation, say the Union of States. But the
Confederacy's around again.
Whoa! I mean, there was at one point we were all a confederate of
grandpa would be proud.
confederation. Yeah, so would mine apparently. I found that out. Like my great grandparents on one side were, they were gray coats, whatever you want to call them. But we are a federalist nation built up of individual states that all believe in common goals and common concepts, that we all decide to get together and do commerce with each other. We call ourselves the United States.
Yeah.
Right? It's a federal approach versus a centralized, what does it matter what the states need or want? You just do what I tell you to do, Ron DeSantis. You're killing people. Anyways.
$46 billion for diagnosing and tracing corona, and then $2 billion for buying and distributing PPE.
That's cool.
That's fine.
Whatever you need.
Yeah, we have
Been doing it
some
for a while.
support for industry and business, right? $25 billion for a new program for restaurants and bars specifically, $10 million per entity, $5 million per location, up to 20 locations. How the fuck do those numbers work out? That doesn't make any sense.
It's federal government trying to tell you how to do things.
$5 billion for businesses specifically with less than $500,000 in revenue in 2019. $1.25 billion for venue operators program, which is done through the Small Business Association.
Less than 5,000?
500,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
than
like, whoa,
500 No,
missed that
less
one.
than-
I was like,
if I
dude,
did say that,
who does
excuse
that?
me. No. $5 billion for businesses with
Okay.
less than $500,000 in revenue, less than $500,000 in revenue in 2019. $1.25 billion for the Revenue Operators Program done through the SBA, the Small Business Association. $30 billion for transit costs. $8 billion for airports. $3 billion for payroll for aerospace.
Don't
Sorry?
Don't ask questions.
You mean airplanes, right?
Aerospace.
So, okay. All right. That's fine.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
$1.5 billion to bring back Amtrak employees that were laid off and things like this.
Yeah.
Have you ever ridden on a train before?
Yeah.
How many times? A bunch of
Not
times. or
counting
like,
the subway.
right, like a train,
A
above
bunch of
ground
times,
train,
I guess.
a proper train.
A proper train in the United States of America,
Yes,
less than abroad. But,
more when you were in Europe.
But yeah, no, I took a train down to like Portland one time.
Yeah,
Or outside of Portland, and then
I've never
I took
personally.
one.
My sister used to take the train all the time when she was a kid. My mom would
Yeah.
fucking put her on the train and she'd go down to
It's only
Oregon.
going one way.
Yeah.
It's a little hard.
What
to
a
kidnap
world,
child that
dude.
way.
What a world.
I can't remember, but a couple few. We'll say a couple few. I've been on a train. I want to take I want to take like
Like a nice
a
train.
multi-day cross-country train trip where
With
you
like a
sleep in the
dining
cabin.
car
And,
and shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Can we do that? Am I old? I
No,
feel
I'd
like
be
I'm
down
old.
for that. I would definitely be down for that.
It's old
'Cause it'll
enough.
stop in places, you know?
Yeah, it'll
Get
be
out
cool.
for a couple hours, fuck around in that little town, get
I've
back
done
on the
that,
train
man.
and
I've
leave.
looked up like what it would cost to do that. It's a lot of money.
I'm
It's
sure,
a lot of money.
I'm sure it is. It's probably a pretty kitschy
It's
experience
not what
now.
it's built
yeah.
for these days.
That's
apparently.
pretty funny. Past that, $15 million for airline workers, which like
TSA.
motherfuckers,
Airline
bro.
workers.
Motherfuckers, bro.
The airlines always get the hookup
Fuck Boeing.
because how much United States commerce relies on airplanes and airlines.
I hate like.
Sucks.
It's such an individual position that I'm in, just that we like do all this work for Boeing, and I'm like, fuck Boeing. God forbid we do blow up, and someone from Boeing hears us and they're like, wait, this motherfucker works here. Hold the fuck on.
It's all right.
That would be not good.
Your bosses would be like, "Well, son, it's a good thing you don't need this job anymore." Have fun doing your dream.
Starting your own business. Get the fuck out of here. You're costing us money. Yeah, they've had a contract with Boeing for like 15 years or something, like 25 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Boeing as a company, it has its ups and downs, but overall, it's a great
Get your
company.
shit together, Boeing.
It's a great company.
As far as rent goes, there's $25 billion for emergency rental assistance, and $5 billion for housing vouchers for homeless people who need them.
And most of these are funding existing programs
Yes.
and expanding their budgets, essentially.
It does need to be mentioned that I believe the eviction moratorium was not extended any further than it is right now. Right?
I didn't see anything in the
And-
federal basis.
And the mortgage.
There's
furlough.
mortgage assistance.
No, not assistance.
Oh.
I mean the federal mortgage furlough, which you didn't have to pay your federally backed mortgage. That is not extended.
No.
It's time to
Not
get
on
back
there.
to normal.
Yeah.
We're kicking the economy back off. It's time to. So there's not.
Which
They're
is
allowed to
interesting.
start collecting mortgage again, but you can get rental assistance if you need it. Mortgage assistance if you need it. So I would imagine that, this is realistically the Biden administration acknowledging silently that the United States is getting back to normal and people are going to start being able to pay their mortgages again. However, some people still are not, so the assistance is there, but we have to acknowledge that we can no longer justify not letting anybody with a federally backed mortgage pay their mortgage anymore. So I think that's really interesting.
It also speaks to the argument of some people even saying, why do we do this? Why are we doing this? There's so many people now that are getting back to normal, much more normal than they like to think we are, you know, but anyways, that's a whole nother aside.
No, and we talked about that a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
when Ben Shapiro, why are we giving checks to people with jobs?
Yeah.
There's still,
Yeah.
you know, and we talked about this a little bit. You know, like I never lost my job during Corona. You know, but our hours were limited to a certain point, and we can only work so much because I work overtime. I had to offset with a bunch of my vacation time and sick time and stuff like that. Like I definitely lost money in this time, even if I never
took a
lost
hit,
my
for
job.
sure.
I never, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, woe is me, but there are many people who lived in that gray area, you know, of not losing their job, not being able to collect unemployment, but still losing hours or still losing out on money because they worked overtime before and couldn't now, you know.
It's like even me and my business, we got shut down for
exactly.
like the first 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah.
or something. And then we got to go back to work under limited
Right.
conditions and stuff. But it was, you know, so essentially I've been one of the few people
Yes.
that basically has been unaffected,
So
other
let
than
me-
catching it.
I got a couple more questions here about stimulus, right?
Yes.
There are some bigger kind of policy type questions,
Yes.
right? So
These are the infamous questions.
Yes, this
I'm
one
excited.
rooted from the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And this is from their podcast that is called The Journal.
The Journal.
Yep, which is a really good one. If anybody's looking for a good, it's like less than 20 minutes every day. They put it out in the evening, and this is from the 9th of March, and their episode was called "Is 1.9 trillion Too Much?" Right? So they discussed whether or not this was a stimulus bill or a recovery and a relief package. Right? The difference being not just for you, but for everybody. The difference being a stimulus package. Obviously, the idea is that it would stimulate the economy. The money in here, the things that are in here, are going to stimulate the economy. It's going to inject energy and profit into the economy to make things start going again. And a recovery or relief bill, obviously, would be to help relieve the pressure of the current economy and just kind of get people through what's going on. So,
Which might lead to
yes,
economic
and it's
stimulus.
correct,
But
right?
one is more
It's
focused to just do one thing.
minute difference,
Yeah.
right? It's like I said, it's
Stimulus
a
bill
policy
is,
question, right?
You know, we have a GDP growth percentage of 3%, and we want to add a stimulus to try to bring it up to 4 this year.
Exactly.
Versus, shit's going rough, bro. We got to get
Exactly.
people out.
So I think that it's an interesting question of whether or
What it
not
is.
it's because there was a stimulus bill after the 2008 financial crisis, right?
Yes.
There were some checks given and things like that, but most of that money went to businesses to keep businesses afloat, keep the banks afloat, do things like this.
Yeah, there's
right?
a lot of bailouts.
It was to stimulate the economy to make sure that America did not crash and burn because we had to let people fuck ourselves almost out of existence.
Yeah, so in that case, that's the old pulling them away from the cliff. You know, as
Yes.
they're walking towards the cliff, and you're going, change direction.
Right.
Don't fall off yet.
And
Here's some money.
So what do you think about that?
what I would classify this as, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Yeah.
God, I think it might actually be somewhat of a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
I mean, not 50-50, but it might do both jobs at the same time.
There are definitely some stimulant.
Because there's some bullshit in here.
Yes.
There is.
Yeah.
And I have a lovely one for you later. But there's also some actual help that will help people that are in poverty, that are suffering the most right now.
There are definitely some stimulating effects as far as, like you said, assistance for people who need it, individuals who need it, and for these industries, for the small businesses, things like that. So I thought it was an interesting question.
Yeah.
And
the $140 or the $1,400 a week in available sick time for federal employees only who have a child that isn't going to school, that is not a stimulus. Like, that is ridiculous. That, I mean, technically it's going to have an effect of giving a stimulus because they're giving them essentially just paying for them to be at home this whole time.
the repayment of pensions for different.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Boosting the unions. Here's a giant check.
Yeah.
Go to town. They won't abuse the money.
Yeah.
They're going to put
Never
it to great
happened in the
use.
past.
No.
Another thing that I found interesting because, like many people, my company matches X%, to my retirement. So I put in was like 3% or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I stopped putting in 3% over this time, partially because the market was so fucking ridiculous. This shit was going crazy. I wasn't sure what
was.
would happen. Also because I'm just going to keep whatever money I can at the time.
Yep.
3%. 3% of my paycheck. Not really that much.
Nope.
Right?
You won't even notice it.
I stopped putting in 3%. How many millions or billions of dollars are going to go to union pensions because of whatever the fuck? I don't...
Because,
Like, what the fuck? And again, I'm
taxpayer funded.
Again, I'm not saying this because the government isn't giving me enough. Like, that's not my point. My point is because...
How can
Again,
anybody
at
compete
a
with
core
them?
value, I feel that it is my responsibility to ensure that I made it through this time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel blessed, like
Yeah.
our good viewer here, to count my blessings to still be working. I feel blessed that I was able to maintain a job, that my company hooked me up, that my bosses were able to work with me, that anytime I needed help with a bill, that person worked with me. Like, I am blessed in that. I also feel it's very much my responsibility to have done that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So my point is not I don't have enough or I'm not being given enough. My point is, why are people who were largely taken care of during this time? And I'm not asking you to explain. I'm really asking you guys so you can ask yourselves, why are people who were largely taken care of during this time being stimulated more than those who were forced out of work and forced to stay home? It just doesn't seem to make very much sense. So just consider,
frustrating.
Consider that
Yep.
when your check rolls into your account.
Well, it's why that's why the shipyard is the number one employer in the county. It's because nobody can compete with them.
Yeah.
They have the unlimited ability to take care of their employees as much as they want. And when it's government, everything is more expensive, costs more, and you get more because of that.
Yeah.
So it's just it's an unfair game in a way, and they get taken care of. I mean, it's a difference in class at the end of the day. They're in a different class than most people. Once you make it to a certain point in a government bureaucracy job,
Yeah.
you're so much safer in most cases from a lot of things because it's really hard to fire you. You have amazing benefits that no one else can afford,
Right.
and your work is damn near guaranteed because the government ain't going nowhere. Not yet, anyways. So what else? What else we got?
This is kind of what we were already talking about from the commentary podcast, and this is from the episode on the 8th. They were talking about just the non-COVID things in the bill.
Yeah. Farmers.
The no school federal worker incentive that you were talking about, right? That's what they call the no school federal worker
Yeah.
incentive. That it incentivizes, certainly in some aspects, incentivizes federal workers to have their kids not go to school because they get to
Ching. I get to stay home and get paid.
and continue to get paid this whole time. So it doesn't exactly...
It's like a UBI in a way.
It certainly doesn't incentivize those union workers to pressure the teachers to get back to work.
How
right?
much
Which is kind of what we should be...
Because it's
going
600 hours. It's 600 hours, right?
Christ.
That you can use up till September. Divide that by 40. So that's 15 weeks free sick time. All I'm saying.
And I think...
15 weeks?
I believe there are 2 weeks of federally guaranteed COVID time. If you get COVID or
Yeah.
if I get COVID, then our companies can access money to pay us 2 weeks of sick
Yep.
time for us to stay home for COVID.
Yep. But then
So
your
that's cool.
yeah. So that's cool.
That's
2 weeks
nice.
versus 15.
If you get COVID.
Seems normal.
If you
Almost
get
as
COVID.
if it's a disincentive to work in the private sector.
There never should have been any work called not necessary, except maybe the government.
Yes.
You're goddamn right.
Yes.
Yeah. I've even heard, people started talking about like the psychological aspects of people being called non-essential for an entire year.
Right.
Just don't worry about it. You're not essential. Your work is not essential.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
Yeah. So
know?
you just stay at home and don't make any money and fade away from society because you're not essential. You're not
essential.
needed.
Nope.
Your
Don't worry
life
about
doesn't
it.
matter.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. So we talked about some of those things. They also called the child tax credit a non-COVID related thing, right? And this
It's
is
all
where
perception.
this is where I started to draw the difference between Rising and commentary, right? Again, Sagar being a conservative, potentially in name only,
does
commentary being very staunchly conservative
Hard, yeah.
Jews from New York,
Yep.
right? Commentary magazine called the child tax credit a bribe for staying home. Right, and we kind of talked about this a little bit
Yeah.
earlier. That I
Yeah.
don't think that's a very good characterization
Phrasing is
of
a
what it
little
is. I
off.
think that is a very tired and old view of what welfare is.
Because every time they say that, they hearken back to the welfare policies of the
Yes.
60s and 70s.
Yeah.
It's like, it ain't that world anymore,
No,
dude.
no, that's not how welfare is. The amount of people that are truly taking advantage of the system and like what you would call draining the system is
Yep.
very,
That's what I
very
love.
small.
When they would drop that, like, oh yeah, it's returned to the 1960s. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you just said it right there.
Right.
It's not. But see, if you wanted to not make that type of principled argument, I mean, you could argue that it is or isn't just based off the fact that like offering families
Yeah.
with, I mean, I don't want to even say families, but offering parents additional, child tax credits. I don't see that being a bad thing at all because
No.
I think it incentivizes people to have kids, and most people aren't going to ruin their lives for $300 a month. So
No,
most people aren't.
Especially because this right
Yeah.
now it's only to the end of the year. It's
But-
for 6 months. It's from July to December.
Yeah,
Like that's it.
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about a permanent one, then you have a discussion. This one is 6 months.
Yep.
It is 6 months of it's $3,600.
Well, then I'm going to say this.
Like-
This is a discriminatory bill because I can't claim I don't get any money for having a kid.
Yeah.
That's
So I just
yep. It's un-COVID related. It's just an attack on single people.
so I don't understand
Stupid.
that, right? I don't know, especially when you're talking about during 2020, right? You're going to get it for the last 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
These low-income parents are low-income, right? Are definitely more likely to have had to either miss work because their kid had to stay home or hire somebody to stay at home with their child, in which case they're losing out on money because they had
These
to
people
pay
are
for somebody.
not the Zoom in everyday crowd.
No.
That's not them.
No. So they don't even have to, it doesn't even consider, you know what I'm saying? These people, the commentary, don't even consider the fact
Well, I mean,
that somebody like
They
me,
wouldn't
if,
know a poor person if it bit them on the ankle. All
if
right?
I wasn't married,
Maybe.
right? If I wasn't married and I had my 2-year-old son, I would either have to not go to work or pay somebody to stay home with my son. He doesn't go to school. He doesn't do any of that shit. I have to pay
That's
for that.
Yeah, and that's not even mentioning the cost. Of
Either
payment.
way, that's lost money when I was already losing money from
Yep.
coronavirus. These motherfuckers are in such a high position somewhere. They have so much money.
They can't even see the ground.
Can't even
bro.
consider that you may have had to pay for childcare during this time, and it may have taken out of your regular expenses and may have hindered the progress in your life over the last. It's insanity. It's insanity that like to not even be able to see that.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be piss poor for that to be your existence. You
Nope.
know,
all you
I-
have to do is pay attention.
I have a decent job. That's just a matter of Jordan not being in my life, and that's not.
Let me
that's-
ask you a question.
You know
do
what I'm saying?
Do you think John Podhoretz has any concept of what you might do during your day-to-day operations at work? If you were to say, "Oh yeah, I work in manufacturing,"
Yeah.
what's his concept of that? I don't think he has whatever he reads.
Probably just that I push a button or like
Yeah.
pull a lever. You know.
Yep. Yeah, so you stand on a line inspecting the bottoms, putting
Yeah.
dolls' heads on.
So do you make sure that the machine doesn't break?
Yeah.
That's what you do? Motherfucker.
Like, no, I'm the machine.
I am the machine, bitch. Yeah.
The machine.
Rising. This is the last one that I have for this. This is from Rising. They were talking about this came out to be a partisan bill, right? Obviously introduced or like we want this to be bipartisan, unity and all this shit.
Unity.
It gets passed through the House on completely partisan guidelines. I even think you have a Democrat that votes against it, right?
Yes.
In the Senate,
I mean, he's a Democrat in name only.
in the Senate, it's 50-50. You have Kamala Harris who breaks the tie, hence sends it back to the House, right? Completely partisan lines.
It seems like it's a great idea.
On Rising, they're talking about the Republicans that voted no because of the non-COVID spending, and they're saying that it's bullshit, it's disingenuous. And Sagar's specific comment on it was, you should have tried harder to get your partisan stuff passed when you were in power, right? First of all, I think it's
That's dumb.
So again, it's stupid,
Sagar,
right?
we need to talk,
It's
buddy.
a very non-conservative idea, right? So a very non-conservative thing to say. Well, you should have tried harder for your partisan agenda when you had control of the Senate. Well, I think that very non-traditionally conservative, right?
Well, that's why
I-
Rising kind of pisses me off sometimes.
Also think that it's a super, super not healthy way to be thinking about Congress. You have control, smash through whatever partisan things you have going on, and just move it forward, right? And I saw this same thing when I might even have it in here somewhere. I'm not sure whether or not I wrote it down, but they had some people on doing Team Rising, talking about filibuster reform. That's what they were
Yes.
talking about, was filibuster reform. So
Yeah.
I do have it
And 'cause
somewhere.
Joe Manchin is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I do have it somewhere about filibuster reform. And Crystal is like, there's no hope at any type of bipartisan anything at this point. So the only way that you're going to get anything done is to just blow up the filibuster and move on. You can't get 60 votes for anything, so just why even try?
Which is more incentive to turn it to
it's like-
65.
It's just like, so hold the fuck on. So just instead of trying harder to do your job, and I don't know, the least you could do is allow more people to propose amendments to try and get into the bill. The most that you could do is form a bill that maybe isn't so fucking partisan that nobody will vote for it. Maybe try a little bit harder to do your job. No. Instead, we'll just forever change the course of American history and American politics and get rid of the last remaining filibuster that we have here and just move on with it because we can't bother to try and get one fucking person on our side. All we can bother is one. We can't try and bother to get 10 people who maybe might have an idea that would overlap with ours a little bit. Just fuck it. We'll just try and strong arm it to one, make sure we have control of the White House, and just force through anything we want in the Senate.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
So, two things on that, right? One, that would require congressmen and women and theys and theirs to actually
All of the Z's.
be there to do their job, to actually help the American people and specifically their actual constituents.
Yes.
Right? If they were there to do their job, that would be one thing, but they're not, right? And two, if every single one of them wasn't completely and utterly unwilling to step across the party line because for fear of being primaried by the leadership in your party, if those two things wouldn't happen, you might be able to have some principled conversations and some actual things going on, both of which are never the same. But I'm actually on the side of reform, of what you call
Filibuster
it?
reform.
Filibuster reform.
Yes.
I'm down.
In
I'm
what
down
sense?
with 100% getting rid of the filibuster as long as every single piece of legislation that goes through the House and the Senate 60-40. Everything needs to be 60-40. At a time when almost $2 trillion is passed by only one single party. The minority had nothing to do with this, essentially. They couldn't stop it if they wanted to, right? When one party can pass $2 trillion worth of spending, something is very, very wrong here. And if the partisan divide is so severe that everything is 51-49, there should be some kind of weighted average for the longer that happens, all of a sudden that margin required for passing a bill increases.
Yeah.
Like there should never, ever, ever in a million years be anything that's passed on a federal level that you can't get at least 60% of senators on board with. If you can't do that, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because you are a member of the federal government there to oversee the states. And if you can't get along in anything greater than a 51-49, you're doing your job wrong. Am I off base in thinking that?
No, I don't think so at all. If the options are between,
So that's my the reform
Yeah.
for the filibuster.
if the option is one or the other, I think
Yeah.
that it's an extremely radical idea
Like
to just
With a bare majority, you're going to pass $2
nuts-
trillion.
Oh, here it is, filibuster room. There aren't 60 votes for anything. How else do you get your agenda passed? That's what she says, right?
Yeah.
How else do you get your agenda passed?
Yep.
Maybe try and appeal to, because they're
Maybe try to convince people.
They were even
I don't
talking
know.
about it in reference to, because
Old-fashioned
now
horse
that
trading.
this has been passed, the next idea obviously is infrastructure, right? So
Yeah,
it's a
right.
big
No.
infrastructure package. Joe Manchin is like, I'm not going to pass anything through budget reformation unless we can get Republican votes on there. Joe Manchin is apparently the most powerful man in the Senate because he, single-handedly got $15 minimum wage out of there. Like that wasn't even a Republican. He was like, fuck it, I'm not paying for that.
Well,
So-
you got like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, and on the Republican side that are kind of swing votes. There's
Yeah.
only one on the Democrats, so he is the number one guy. What does Joe Manchin think about it? He's the Republican he's a Democrat from West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's only so Democrat you could be coming from West Virginia. It's a totally different thing down there. So like he's basically a Republican, but
Right.
I love the fact that he is the man now.
Yeah, so now, right, as infrastructure comes along, the idea that you couldn't get 60 votes for a federal infrastructure package that literally will affect the entirety of the United States, not just
yeah.
one state, not just DC,
Yeah.
the entirety of the United States. The idea that you couldn't put enough things in there to incentivize 10 Republicans to vote for it is insanity. You're talking about improving bridges,
states.
roads, dams, tunnels, fucking everything. I mean,
Yep.
fucking
Power lines.
everything. You are
Water
talking
lines.
about the second wave of rural electrification in the form of high-speed internet to everywhere. The entire United States, high-speed internet. In reinvigorating the power system so that maybe you don't have to shut down fucking Texas when it snows. Like, the idea you couldn't get 10 Republicans on board with that, so we need to blow up the filibuster.
Yeah.
It's not only insanity, not only
That's insane.
a terrible view of history, it is so horribly pessimistic that I don't know how they're living with themselves. I literally don't know how they haven't killed themselves
Yes.
because they don't think you could get 10 people to vote for something that will create tens of thousands of jobs in their state. If you live in a shitty rural state, you're going to have a fuckload of jobs that come because they have to do it somehow. They have to build things somehow. And you don't need to be a highly trained technician to put a fucking pole in the ground. You don't. They can teach you how to do it. Really easy. And they'll pay you $20 an hour to do it. I don't get it. How you think you can't get 10 Republicans to vote for this.
Stick a pole in the ground.
Because
All
you don't want to. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're doing power lines, if
Yeah.
if the most basic job is putting a fucking a pole in the ground for a new power
Or
line,
maybe, like in places like in the Northwest where it's super windy all the time and the power always goes out.
Bro.
Maybe take some of those power lines that are up there by the trees and shit, put them underground. Pay people to come out, run conduit under there, and that way, guess what? When it gets windy and trees fall down and the entire world and the snowpocalypse comes, nobody lose power.
you can teach someone
That'd
to
be
use
amazing.
a concrete saw. You can
It's-
teach someone to do that.
I was learned how to do that.
I can teach
you know?
someone to dig a hole. I can
Yes.
definitely teach someone to dig a hole.
Yep.
No problem.
Yeah, I've trained.
You want to pay me $30 an hour to teach someone to dig a hole? I'll do it.
I've trained multiple people how to be very, very proficient in a very technical job.
Yeah, the idea you couldn't get 10 Republicans to vote for that is absolute insanity. It's crushing. That's crushing morosity. Fuck Commentary Podcast. We need to go to Rising
Ouch.
if we want crushing
love those.
morosity. If there were
Yeah,
any
that's
Kennedy
a good point.
Democrats,
That's a good point.
if there were any Kennedy Democrats left in the party, could be saved.
Yeah, probably. Brilliant conduit. Let's do it.
So
We'll even do the staking for him. It's fine.
there's
Because there's lots of industries that come with infrastructure, right? I'm not in love, again, principled argument, my utopia. We're not going to do a giant infrastructure bill because the state government has enough money to pay contractors to do it on a normal basis so
Yeah.
that we don't have to do it once every 50 years when everything starts to break.
It's too late. We're here now.
But we're here. So,
Let's do it.
yeah.
Let's pump out some
this
more
is gonna
trillions.
now I'm excited for this infrastructure. I'm not excited that it's going to pass, but I'm excited to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Let's get some new jobs, Colin.
Get some new jobs, bro. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So as far as Kennedy Democrats, the only thing I'm going to say about Kennedy Democrats is that JFK was one of my favorite presidents.
JFK.
I'll give you that.
He was against the military-industrial
I
complex,
felt-
and then mysteriously he was offed.
I felt really good about Joe Kennedy Jr. until he started being super mad progressive, and I was like, "Come on, Joe!
Come on,
Come on, Joe!"
Come on,
and now
Joe.
he didn't win. He's like the first Kennedy to lose ever, so
Come
he's not
on,
even a
man.
representative anymore, which did make
Yeah.
me kind of sad. Like even as sad as I was about him going super progressive, I was
Yeah.
still sad to see him go. When he that would make at least 5,000 jobs. Fuck yeah. That's what I'm
hard
saying. Infrastructure, jobs as fuck. Jobs AF.
And it wouldn't necessarily, like, there would be a lot of jobs that would be lost to unions, right?
Certainly.
Like, the unions would just pick up these contracts.
Certainly.
But
But they're going to have to hire people.
But there'd be enough people. Well, I don't want that, though, because I want more of those people to work in the private sector.
Private
But,
sector jobs.
because the more people that work in the private sector, the better our business is, the more money
Yes.
everybody's making,
Yes.
the better benefits and better lives we can give to everybody. That's what being an employer is about. But regardless of, because the unions it's a reality situation.
Yeah.
They're going to get some, but there is going to be a massive amount of private companies that will benefit from this because they'll be hired to do jobs to complete these things. And it, because a general contract come in, then he starts
Yeah.
reaching out to his group of people to come out. Like, everybody benefits, and then the company makes
would-
money, and they grow, and they hire more people. Boom! It's beautiful.
I would love to see
Capitalism.
a certain amount of it. I don't think this will happen. I would love to see it, though. I would love, just in the wake of Corona, all these small businesses, so many people that were shut down,
Yeah.
construction, stuff like that. I would love to see them force a certain percentage of it, of the contracts, to go to like small businesses, like Jake's company. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if someone
no
like you
greater
or
than
Jake's company
49% could go to unions. 51%. Or, I mean, let's be realistic here. Let's cut the unions off at 51% because we know they're going to get
49 private
But,
sector, and
yeah.
then 10 of that to go to small business.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I would love to see that.
Yes,
If,
because
say-
there are a lot of big big crews
yeah.
out there that run. I mean, massive. I mean,
Exactly.
multi-billion
Just
dollar
big contractors and
corporations.
stuff. Yeah. So I would love to see just to help stimulate the economy. You know what I'm saying? A certain percentage of that infrastructure package to go to
Yep.
small contractors, like I said, like you, like Jake, that could get in on a big government contract, get a little piece of the pie, get some good fucking money flowing through your company, and have a
Yep.
good time. I would really, really like to see that.
I love to hire new people, man.
Yeah.
I hate to lay them off.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Maybe, man, I don't know that I could bring myself to go to another town hall for Derek Kilmer, but
That'd be rough.
maybe if we could bring ourselves to do it
I'd get upset.
around I don't have the respect for him now that I did the last
Yeah.
time we went.
And if he's up there and talks the way he does, like on his social media, I'd be
well, the last time we
really upset.
did the Facebook when he pooed all over me. So you know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
true. That's true. So
So I think that's
I
all
have
that as
I have
far as
one
these things.
fat piece of pork that I had found.
Yes.
It's really funny. If I was to ask you
Yes.
what a
Oh right.
socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher was, like who's a socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher?
A socially
Disadvantaged.
disadvantaged farmer?
Yeah. If you had to guess, who's going to be qualified as a socially disadvantaged farmer?
Somebody whose farm is close to a city? I can't even
Socially disadvantaged. Think intersectional. You'll get there. That's all I'm going to say.
So is that just different, like, farmers of color? Like, is that where it's minority farmers?
There you go. That's where we're
No
at.
shit.
Farm loan assistance for socially disadvantaged farmers. This is section 105. It's right at the top in agriculture. So the appropriations. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there is appropriated to the security of the fiscal year 2021 out of the amount of the treasury, so on and so forth. The same thing. Such sums as may be necessary to retain or remain available until expanded, and for the cost of loan modifications and payments under this section, to give direct farm loans forgiveness for direct farm loans made by the Secretary for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. So we're bailing out socially disadvantaged farmers to the tune of $1.010 billion.
Is there a definition for that in that section?
I'm so glad that you asked that. So the key is that there's actually not in the bill, right?
Okay.
But they do tell you the socially disadvantaged farmer. The term socially disadvantaged farmer has meaning given the term in section blah 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 of the Food, Agriculture, Conservation, and Trade Act of 1990. So then we click on that link and it brings us here, and then you got to read that piece of legislation to ultimately find that socially disadvantaged, or the term socially disadvantaged, means a farmer or rancher who is a member of a socially disadvantaged group. And then it goes another layer deeper. You got to find out what that means. Socially
I love this
disadvantaged group.
podcast.
The term socially disadvantaged group means a group whose members have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as a member of a group without regard for their individual qualities. That is some woke shit. What do you think about this?
Okay,
So you're going to bail out farmers and ranchers based on racial or ethnic categories of race and ethnicity.
a group whose members. So you don't even have to prove that you were subjected to prejudice because of your race.
Yes.
Just that you are part of a group
Yes.
that has been subjected to.
As a member of a group without regard to their individual qualities. So you don't have to personally be, discriminated against. You just have to belong to the group.
I've said this many times today.
How
I often find myself in this very odd corner, especially with these intersectional things, that I may present as a white male, but I am in fact a quarter Hispanic,
Yes.
Latino. I am Mexican, right? So can we start a farm and get us some tax credits, or what's the?
I mean, are you considered socially? I'm
Mexican.
Are they? Well, I guess yeah. And if the last 4 years during the Trump administration has taught us, the United States has been incredibly repressive towards the Mexican people in the South America. Anybody?
Hey,
In South America,
shout out Jake.
so yeah, I'm not totally sure, but I would say probably you do qualify. So
Start a
we're gonna
farm.
have to start a farm.
Jake,
with
we're going to
bunch of
start a
loans.
farm,
Yep.
but I got to be the head of it. And
Yeah. And then we'll take out
do we
massive
know the
loans.
percentage of socially disadvantaged ranchers, farmers who are getting this billion? I would be very interested in how many of the farmers that are,
Me too.
how many American farmers are socially disadvantaged
Yeah.
farmers,
And
and what effect that plays on your business. Do you
Considering
have a
that you
shittier
do the
farm?
vast
How do
majority of
people
your
know?
business with the federal government and the Department of Agriculture, probably not too much.
How does anyone know what color you are?
And
if
I
they're
would
buying
be
your produce if they're buying it at the store.
yeah. And so unless there is some kind of like woke cell with inside the farming communities, the massive
Yeah.
farming communities, I don't know how many farmers would be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Although you're talking about
Jake,
forgiving people's loans.
don't misunderstand. We're starting a farm because I'm Mexican and I'm socially disadvantaged, and so we're going to be able to get tax breaks and credits and parts
Loan
of these
forgiveness.
loan
Right in the bill.
forgiveness. Hey, I love you.
For
Please sit
for
down.
being socially disadvantaged.
because I'm Mexican. So you guys all have to work there.
No, we don't need to be a farmer either. We can be a rancher.
Sit
Dog,
down.
the tail of death.
Sit
Lay
down.
down, kid.
Sit down.
She comes over here with this tail and starts smashing everything.
So just be prepared.
Okay.
I rule with an iron fist, so make sure make sure you're producing.
Oh, we're gonna grow sugar beets.
Even more of a reason. There we go. It'll be nice.
Yep.
We'll get our loans paid off.
And the best thing will be we'll grow
We'll all
sugar
get
beets.
my loan paid
and then
off.
we'll also have another business
Call
on the
it
side
Pablo's
that
Produce.
Pablo's Produce.
We gotta call it Paco.
Paco.
Dax
Paco.
has the little horse named Paco, so Paco's Produce,
Okay.
and it can be the logo will be a rocking horse with knight's armor on.
I'm in love with this idea. Can we grow corn? Can we grow maize?
Yes,
and then
we
make,
have to.
and make flour.
We have to.
So then we could put that
I love this
right
so
next to
much.
the King Arthur flower in the
love
grocery store. Who you gonna buy? This big scary knight or this awesome cute knight on a rocking horse?
Yeah.
We win.
You're a conservative Mexican. The left will cancel you too. Yeah. I won't even make it to the point to
won't
get
make
able
it.
to
You
get my
won't
loans
make it.
paid off. I'll get canceled before that.
So then you're gonna
funny.
then you're gonna end up being thrown in the gulags with $500,000 in debt.
During Kamala Harris'
lose-lose.
second term.
Yes.
Her 8th year, but during her second term. In the middle of her second term, but her 8th. Look at
she
Goya
won't
Foods.
take
Yeah.
a third term. She'll just extend the terms.
And be like FDR. Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Just don't worry about it.
Don't worry. There's war going on.
Crisis.
We got a 20-year
War
war going
war
on
in Yemen and
Afghanistan.
Syria happening.
Yeah.
Dual wars. What do I can't leave now. There's 2 wars happening.
This is like the plot of a movie that I don't want to watch.
This is horrible. This is horrible. It's like in Superstars. You're horrible. Have you ever, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm superstars.
Superstar. No. One movie. Superstar.
Okay.
With it's not Mary Catherine Gallagher. Right?
What?
Are you come on?
I'm googling.
Yes.
I'm IMDbing. Oh, the woke
Superstar
IMDb's.
movie. Yeah.
Should we tell the people about the Matrix and the Wachowski?
The Wachowski brothers?
Yes.
Yeah. Weird.
Oh, it's so it's so
okay.
weird.
Superstar. The movie's called
Superstar.
Superstar. It has I cannot remember the actress's name now.
Superstar. Molly
Yes.
Shannon.
Molly Shannon, yes.
Oh,
That's what Mary Catherine
that
Gallagher.
movie.
That's what yes.
Oh my
You know what I'm talking
gosh,
about now?
yes.
Yes, she's talking. You're horrible. You're horrible.
That movie.
We do that a lot of my.
Is so bad.
That movie is awesome. You're crazy.
It's a bad movie, but it's a great movie.
You're insane.
Am I gonna make my kids watch this movie? Yes.
Yes.
It's required viewing.
Yeah. Okay. What do we want to talk about next? Let's talk about the crisis at the border. Huh?
Crisis? There's a crisis?
We're 2 hours in.
There's not a crisis.
We'll hit the crisis and then we'll.
Jen Psaki
see
says
what I
there's not a. I mean, it's
Jen
not a
Psaki,
crisis.
right?
You know
Yeah.
why are we talking? We don't need labels. What are we
Yeah.
doing here? Yeah, because the phase 3 reopening stuff will be really quick.
Okay.
There's not much there.
Help is here. Venezuela vaccine. Okay, so
Help is here. Oh, can I?
Joe
Can I just
Biden
say-
his speaking tour is called the Help Us Here tour.
No.
Yes, next week the Bidens and the Harrises are going on a nationwide speaking tour. The name
This
of
is
the
it.
tour
This
is
is when he does. He
it's-
doesn't make it to the end. We can't do that to him.
right after the stimulus package. Most popular president ever, Joe Biden, assassinated on the Help Us Here tour.
Yeah, assassinated, but it was his soup. That's what did it. That's what I'm saying. He can't make that tour fit. He can't make the finish. He
Yes.
He barely made it through the speech.
So
God.
it's like Dave Portnoy going into the shop. What are you doing? What are you doing here?
That is a bad idea.
Yeah. So
but
the-
it's just, he discovered that Hulu has How I Met Your Mother, and he fell in love with Barney's character, and he goes, "Challenge accepted. Let's do it. Come on."
it's terrible. Yeah.
is terrible.
So a nationwide speaking tour called the Help Is Here tour. It's going to be great. Jen Psaki announced it yesterday.
How much is that going to cost, and wasn't included in the COVID relief bill?
Oh, probably. You know,
Because I don't know
just
if
tack it on.
what.
They'll get it through budget reconciliation.
Because all I'm saying is that seems like a pretty expensive tour for a dude that. Oh wait, no, I guess he did give us $1,400. That clip from Rising the other day with the ice fishing dude. Well, they're holding off the stimulus checks, they're holding back on this, and then they're dropping bombs over in Syria, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, those bombs seem kind of expensive for a dude that owes me $2,000. Clap, 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 buddy. You win the internet today.
So the first note that I have here is from the 1st of March, right?
Okay.
And this is from the press briefing from the 1st. They had Alejandro Mayorkas on. Will you look up exactly what his position
Yeah.
is? He has something to do with immigration, obviously.
I think he's the sec.
While he's there,
yeah.
he talks about how the
What's his
Trump
name
admini-
again? What's his name?
Alejandro Mayorkas. He talks about how the Trump administration gutted the immigration system and stated that the goal for the Biden administration is for potential...
Secretary of Homeland Security.
There you go. Secretary of Homeland Security.
Oh, I should. I knew that. What an
Stated
idiot.
that the goal for the Biden administration is for potential immigrants to be able to access humanitarian aid from their own country so that they don't have to come here. What that means, with fewer words, is that the intent for the Biden administration is, instead of allowing more immigrants to come here, or instead of telling them that they need to wait for, anyway, instead of doing these other things, their intent is to create a larger pool of humanitarian aid that will then be distributed to other countries
Didn't we?
in which to improve lives and wellness in other countries.
Didn't we do this before? Why are we
So-
doing? How?
No money for you. Like $1,400 for you. So this was before the checks, obviously.
We just did this.
Yeah,
We just did this.
But
Did we not just do this?
more money around the globe. Yeah, imperialism? No,
Nah.
not at all.
Just financially.
Definitely not.
It's financially.
Yeah, we're definitely not, spreading American ideology or, I don't know, trying to force democracy in places that obviously don't want it or anything like that.
Bro, I don't.
Yeah. So
That
and
just
this
seems
comes
so
on the
insane.
back, right, of the administration refusing to acknowledge that there is in fact a crisis at the border.
They have
right?
not said that word, except for not crisis.
The reality of the situation is that right now there are almost 6,000 border crossing attempts a day
That
at the southern border.
is so many.
Excuse me. So we're sending other countries to not send their people to our border. Yes.
Yep.
Precisely. That is precisely correct.
I mean, you can, because why are these places rough spots, right? Generally speaking, it's because the government is corrupt.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to give them money,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So
It's definitely going
I
to go
don't-
to all the right places.
that seems like a really good idea, Donovan.
Because the alternative to that would be sending checks to individual people who live in other countries, which is absolute lunacy. Which is lunacy.
Like, what am I going to do with this?
There are, I believe,
I can't cash
I
this.
believe there's. What's the status on stimulus checks for illegal immigrants, for immigrants who are here illegally? Will you look that up for
Yeah,
me?
I
Is
saw
that a
the-
thing that happened this time around? I know that. No. Okay.
It's non-resident aliens
Word.
can.
Word.
And so you're talking about people here on work visas. Somebody that doesn't have a green card,
Yes.
but you're still here legally,
Yes.
can have this.
Word.
Which is
So-
probably good because those are, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have any food.
Yes. So the sixth to the tune of billions again of our money. Yes.
Yes,
This
yeah.
guy gets it.
Yeah,
you
he
get
totally
it.
gets it.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
Yep. So
We connect on a lot.
the reason the 6,000 number is important, the 6,000 attempted and successful crossings per day.
Yeah.
The reason that's an important
think I know
number
where you're going
is
with this.
because during the Obama administration,
Oh, yeah?
Jay Johnson was on TV talking about how there was 1,000 illegal border crossings a day and how it was absolutely a crisis because 1,000 overwhelmed the system wholeheartedly.
Yep.
Right. So
1,000 a day. That's a
We-
lot of people still.
we had our friend Alejandro Mayorkas talking about how the system was gutted by the Trump administration.
Gutted.
Right? Gutted. Now, there's 6,000 attempted crossings per day, 6 times what there were during the Obama administration.
Yep.
And they called it a crisis then when the border was, they were doing what they could at that time. We had a Democratic president. It was still okay to try and help people at the border. So they were still doing it. Right? Now it's been gutted by the Trump administration. There's nothing there, even though we've stopped the border, we've stopped other things, stopped all the things,
All the things.
stopped other things.
So
And now
insane.
we have 6 times as many people trying to cross. 6 adults, right?
Yes.
Right?
Not
Just-
just unaccompanied minors.
Right. Adults, everybody. 6 times as many still unwilling to call it a crisis, right? Still refused to call this a crisis, right?
Everyone involved won't say it.
So obviously, discussions start to come up of kids in cages. What are we doing with all the children at the border, right?
Who-
Because
yeah.
Jen Psaki has said over and over and over again, we're not ripping children from their parents' arms at the border, and we're not turning children away. If unaccompanied minors show up at the border, we are not turning them away, which apparently during the Trump administration they were, which they were doing to everybody who came here.
Remember,
saying if
because
you-
the facilities were full.
and saying if you're applying for asylum, you have to wait in whichever country you came from to find out whether or not you're going to get it, right? And again, I'm not arguing this policy decision, but this is the that was the reality at the time,
Yep.
right? So when all of that is happening.
More notes.
Yes. Children of the border. Right. Okay. So Jen Psaki's on there. She's saying this isn't kids in cages. This
not-
is
this is
children
not-
in overflow facilities. People are spending, we talked about last time we were here, kids are spending 80 hours, upwards of 80, 100 hours inside of these DHS facilities that are fucking tents outside.
Do you remember when all the people at Firefest were bitching about the FEMA tents?
Yes.
And that's what these are.
Being held for upwards of 80, 100 hours in these facilities before they're transported,
Which is
or
well
in,
beyond the
in
legal
Border
72
Patrol before
hours.
they're being transported to Department of Homeland Security facilities. So
They're only legally allowed to be there for 3 days.
when this
72
is happening,
hours.
right, on the 9th, the press briefing at the 9th, there's reportedly 3,600 children being held at the border, and I'm not like being contained at the border, which was more than there were in 2019 during the Trump administration, when there's the whole thing about kids in cages and there's using pictures from the Obama administration and all this is happening.
Oh, yeah.
When Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot and he's literally locking children up in cages. There's more children now in detention at the not detention because they're not being detained. Like they are. They're in detention
detained
centers
for X
at
amount
the
of days
border
before transfer to
more
a facility.
now, but somehow we're supposed to. And let me add one more thing, right? The Biden administration is also trying to not reopen all of the containment, all of the overflow facilities because they don't want it to look bad. They're trying to not, right? So we don't have all of the available overflow facilities there. We're making new ones, which are tents, right? The overflow facilities that are existing are actual buildings, structures there. The ones that are being constructed now are
brick and mortar,
tents, right? Are tents in which we're containing more children there. And somehow we're expected to believe that they are being cared for better, being taken care of better, and it's more humane. It's more caring
it's
the way
more
that they're being
humane,
looked after
you know.
now.
Yeah, we're handling it humanely.
And they're not in cages at all.
Nope. Who
Right.
built the cages, Joe?
Right.
Who built the cages?
Right. So at that time, on the 9th, Jen Psaki refused to confirm or deny the numbers, right, of how many children were at the border. She told the reporter, well, I suggest that you ask the Department of Homeland Security. The reporter says, I did, and they didn't answer me. They would not confirm this number. She says, I suggest you ask them again.
Yeah.
That's-
because that's they don't work for us.
Nope.
Go
Don't have
talk to
anything
them.
to do with that. She refused to address the conditions at the border with the children.
Yep.
Because the same thing that I've just done here, gone through a logical step. One of these reporters did this. So you're telling me, right? Even if he said, let's assume this number is correct, right? If that's the case and we don't have all of the overflow facilities open and we're just popping up new tents, how can we reasonably assume that the conditions for these children are better and more humane than they were during the Trump administration?
Yep.
Because this whole thing, we've had 4 different officials at least come from the Biden administration and say, we want to have a humane policy unlike the previous administration,
Yeah.
right?
So what do we do?
Unlike the previous administration.
More kids in cages.
More kids in cages, but we're not ripping them from their parents' arms at the border. We're taking them and their parents in, which, if everyone will remember, right, because no laws have been changed, the parents are then separated from their children, and they are kept in 2 different facilities. Weird.
They're not ripping them away.
Not at the border.
They're separating them after they are
Once they're brought
once
in.
they're brought
Right.
into the
Right.
facility.
Once they're in the facility, then the children are
Yeah,
separated.
one bus
kindly,
goes that way. You get on
gently.
that bus. You get on
Yeah,
that bus.
yeah.
Goodbye.
The screaming child is gently
Yes.
separated from their parent. Not ripped from their arms, gently separated from their
Yep.
parent, and then they're taken to 2 separate
And I'm sure
facilities. Right.
And the really sad thing is, though, the reality of the ground is probably the people that are having to do this every single day are probably some, like, I don't think these are like, I mean, you could see them walking around, I don't think the people that have to do this stuff are like doing it in malice. They're not enjoying it.
No,
It's
fuck
probably
no.
tearing their hearts apart to have
No.
to do this. But at the end of the day, they're being forced to do that
Don't allow
because of the policy.
Don't allow these people, Jen Psaki, this new administration, do not allow them to lie to you about the reality of what is happening. Unless immigration laws have been changed, unless there has been immigration reform, the reality for the immigrants, for the children at the border, is exactly the same that it was during the Trump administration. It is no different now. Nothing has been changed. It is all the same. It's insanity that It's crazy to me that anybody can stand in front of that many other people and lie and be totally cool with it. You know,
They're good
I
at
don't
it.
like telling white lies to people about why I was late to things or shit like that. It's the fact that she can stand there and lie not only to all these reporters, then shit on them, be an asshole to them, and then lie to the whole country and walk away and be just fine.
Yeah. How do you sleep with yourself at night?
So who are the workers with these children? What is their background? Certainly, because
Yeah, I would be
absolutely,
curious.
No, because there were problems during the Trump administration of people who were working at the border that were taking children away. I told you
Yeah.
there were people that children gone missing that are then found cities away that were taken by workers. Jordan shows me the whole story. There's security footage. Swear to God, I would have to find
believe it. I
everything,
believe it.
right? But Jordan showed me the footage and everything. There's security footage of immigrant children being taken from facilities, right? Loaded into vans, showing up in another city, just being taken into like houses and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that these workers are like deeply involved in a cabal of like terribleness. They're federal workers being told by higher up federal workers, take these children to this place and then fucking leave. You know, and I'm not absolving them from responsibility.
Well,
not
once
at all.
the,
I'm
Once you make that transfer from like the DHS to the HHS, like some of these people, when they don't know what to do with them or something,
Department
like
of Homeland Security.
like
Yeah.
they go to like foster homes and like these weird places
There are
after
people
like
found in
the
homes with,
dissemination
like,
of these
registered
kids.
sex offenders, dog.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
Which is a huge issue. That would be terrible.
So, again, this
Come
is
on,
a
buddy.
recipe for child trafficking on an even more. Absolutely,
hard, yeah. Hard,
absolutely.
yeah.
And so, again, don't allow this new administration with a different letter before their title, with different colors,
Yep.
different airs, different faces. Don't allow them to deceive you into believing that anything at the border is different than it was before.
Nope.
It is exactly the same. Even Immortal Technique, you know who Immortal Technique is, right?
Yeah.
Immortal Technique is a rapper, for anybody who doesn't know. From New York, very hood, very street, super progressive, super fucking progressive, right? Has been shitting on the Biden administration for this exact same thing, posting videos of Jen Psaki's. Like, you're lying. This same thing is happening. You are still murdering children in the Middle East. This is still happening. You are still paying for this. You are still funding
Yup.
this. You are still advocating for other royal families doing terrible fucking things while you are sitting here trying to sit on some type of throne in the United States and act like you're doing something better.
Well, you're trying to impeach the queen.
Yeah, it's horrible. Don't allow these people to lie. Jakes, I love Immortal Technique. I know I wasn't even sure he was still watching. Jake,
Oh,
I love you so much.
Oh,
That's awesome.
great.
Yeah,
That's great.
So, like I said, don't allow these people to lie to you about what is happening at the border.
Yeah.
Nothing is any different. This is a crisis. And then when I'm watching today,
This
right?
still is a crisis.
Yes. There is a study that came out of Brownsville, Texas, right? There were
Oh,
some
yeah.
like 17,000 immigrants that were tested for coronavirus. 9% of them had COVID.
Yep.
Right? Which is twice the national average. And so there's reporters like, what are we doing to make sure that people in towns like Brownsville are safe from the coronavirus? Jen Psaki's like, first of all, I haven't seen that study, so I can't confirm that number.
Oh.
Second of
sweetheart,
all,
you don't even need to do that.
there are proposals to test everyone for COVID that are coming through the border. Wait. There are proposals to test everybody coming at the border? You're telling me.
We're not.
You're telling me
Yes.
we aren't actively testing the people who are coming through the border,
Yep.
and we're letting them move on because we have rescinded the wait in Mexico policy, quote unquote, whatever the fuck it was called, the technical name for it, right? That's
Yeah.
the colloquial term, the wait in Mexico policy.
Yep.
You're telling me we're allowing people to come in here and we're not testing them to find out whether or not they have COVID, while we, regular people, are forced to stay in our homes and not work and lose our businesses because we're so scared of this fucking virus. But somehow we're letting people, like, what the fuck?
How can you not laugh because of how ridiculous that sounds?
Proposals to test everyone on the border? Proposals? Come on!
That I don't know why that got me so good. Oh,
Right,
That was
but
fun.
that's not in the stimulus bill, right? That's not in the COVID bill. Come on, dude.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
It's insanity.
Super jazzed. So, and what's funny about this is that nobody's like they're doing their damnedest to not talk about it.
No.
And to them, thank God for the pandemic, because otherwise they might be forced to confront them on this. I
A
mean,
virus that has a death rate less than the flu.
that's a thing. I mean, I get it. I definitely get it. Oh, I mean, what else? What else can you say about the border?
Yeah. So
Numbers are up. They're still up. It's terrible. Nothing's changed. It's just
we have always been and remain staunch advocates for immigration reform.
Yep.
Right? We are not by any means put up a wall, close the borders, don't let anybody in. Your wife moved here from another country as a child. Her
Yep.
family moved here from another country. We are not and that's not like I know a black person. That's like we are well acquainted with the system and
very
the horrible
intimately familiar.
flaws that it has. Right?
Yes.
That's what I'm getting at. So
it
our
ain't cheap
point
either.
is- no. So the point is, we have been and will remain advocates for immigration reform. And the reason that we bring this up is not because, look at what they're letting happen to this country, blah, blah, blah. It's because we have, right. It's because we have an administration that is actively trying to sell you a rotten bill of goods about how they are actively changing the country and they're more humanitarian. They care more. They're better than Donald Trump. Well, nothing is any different. It's worse now than it was then, and they're acting like it's better. They're lying to you actively. They're letting people come into the country infected with coronavirus while you can't work because of the coronavirus.
It's so insane.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's a dark world.
And if we had a good system, right, that was efficient and people would flock to this country, think of the economic growth that we would have, dude. Can you imagine? It would be so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. So it's not like I want,
We're not open borders people, but we also aren't closed
we're
borders.
xenophilic.
Yeah. What did you call it?
Crap. I didn't know this was Eric Weinstein. I'm not
Right,
taking credit for this. Xenophilic restrictionists.
Yes.
That's.
Yes.
I'm all about it, but we just gotta think about this.
We talked about it, man, in my stupid high terms like a couple weeks ago. I was like, I don't see why there's anything wrong. It was episode 100. We were talking about it. I don't see why there's anything wrong with incentivizing people to come here who already have extremely marketable skills.
Have
and
you seen the
also-
world? People are pretty dope sometimes.
Right. And also providing people with zero marketable skills the chance to come here, make something more of themselves, and have a fucking great life because America is the shit.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with doing both of those things at the same time. I don't know what the percentage split would be, you know what I'm saying?
But it's
there's
just
no
better.
reason you can't do both of those things and make the country a better place with one felt swoop.
No,
Like,
man, we're smarter than that. We can
Yeah.
figure it out.
we can do this.
We can do it.
So
We
the
can do
last
it all.
thing. So I have to say something about. No, we're going to talk about
No,
Joe
no.
Biden. So
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Biden address. So I'll talk about it then.
Okay.
So, excuse me,
Well, what do you got?
Biden address.
Biden address. This
Yes.
was
Thursday. Thursday night.
Thursday.
After the bill was signed.
Yeah, because he was talking all along. He was gonna get to it. He would not want to make a public appearance until
Right.
they were done working on getting the COVID bill passed.
And this is when I said, or when I wrote down that Trump should sell his properties because he's living rent free in everyone's heads in D.C. because he just talked about how terrible Donald Trump was. What a shit job he did in the beginning of the coronavirus and said all these terrible things and did these terrible things and
So terrible.
it also felt to me. You watched this, right? You watched the Joe Biden.
I watched part of it.
Word.
Yeah, I didn't get all the way through it.
It felt to me like he was talking to children. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like he's very much, and I don't know if that's
Well-
because of him or because of us.
It's because he's the nation's grandfather.
Yeah, so
We're all his children, Donovan.
Like, he was like talking about all these things that happened in 2020. Like we don't also know how shitty 2020 was.
Yeah.
Like, we
We
all lived
remember.
through it, man. We're here. Like we know that. It fucking
Yeah.
sucked. Sucked for everybody. It was
Well, it's
terrible.
because it was also it was like that commemoration still. He's
Right.
trying to be
Right.
sincere and
Yeah.
serious.
You saw it all. It was sad, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't good. So after that, he said that we had purchased 100 mil, ordered 100 million new doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. By the end of May, all adults would be eligible for the vaccine, and then by July, 4th of July, hopefully enough people, if we're all good, if everybody's good and we all behave,
All good little sheep.
and everybody
stay in the
follows the
fence.
rules, and you wear your mask and you go and get your shot, then we'll have enough people vaccinated that you can have a couple of people over in your backyard for a barbecue on 4th of July to celebrate your freedoms.
Start getting a little bit.
Because
of
we're
our
all
freedoms back.
free.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You remember when Newsom said that about California? This, so we can start to get back some of our freedoms.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Now we're just doing it on a national level.
So they're going to add 600 more mass vaccination sites and a shitload of more vaccinators.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, they touted for increase in vaccinations. Oh, because the amount of vaccinations they're doing has gone up. Right.
Yeah.
So everyone
At
remember
the same rate that it's been going up.
we talked about this in the beginning of the administration. He said, my goal, 100 million shots in the first 100 million or the first 100 days, right? Which was the rate that we were going at the time.
Yep.
So after that, after he got in,
We would have had to slow it down.
also after that, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was released.
Yeah.
So there's more vaccines in circulation. So yes, the vaccination rate did in fact go up. Even if Donald Trump was president, it would have gone up because Johnson & Johnson got their vaccine now and it was approved and people are getting it.
Because it doesn't actually
also-
matter who's in the chair
It's
right
also a
there.
one-shot vaccine. So there's more, just by virtue
Oh,
of how
yeah.
this one works, there's going to be more people
Yeah.
who are getting it, right? So they... let's see, what the fuck is this?
More vaccines. Vaccination rate. Him touting that
I was
up.
trying to understand why I wrote this the way that I did. So let's talk about this, right? Because he didn't mention Donald Trump one time, right? And we talked about that maybe in the pre-show when he said, 500,000 people or whatever, more people than World War I, World War II, blah, 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 right? So didn't mention Donald Trump
what?
even one time. And so then when I'm watching the press briefing, I wrote this one. It was for the 11th, but I was watching it today, right? And for the AstraZeneca vaccines, here it is. So it was for the 12th, actually, right? Sorry, let me start over because I watched one for the 11th and then the 12th, and she was asked about it on both days, right? So on the 11th of March, Jen Psaki was asked about companies being able to sell vaccines to other countries,
Yes.
right? Because when Joe Biden came into office, he enacted the Defense Production Act, and for vaccine manufacturers. Sorry, I'm getting my fucking words mixed up here. I got so much running through my head. So he enacted the Defense Production Act for vaccine manufacturers so that they can increase the amount of vaccines that they were making at a time, brought other companies in, forced them to work with other companies. It's all a good thing, right? It's it's a policy difference of whether or not you want to nationalize something or you want to try and just say, hey, just fucking do what you can and let's just get it done, right? Neither here nor there. It's a policy decision, right? Because of that, because of the Defense Production Act, all of these companies have contracts with the United States government of a certain amount of doses they are required to sell to the United States government, right?
Yep, makes sense.
There
Makes
are
sense.
some companies, AstraZeneca is the one that comes up now, right? Where that shot, their vaccine is not FDA approved in the United States. However, it's approved in other countries. But because of the Defense Production Act, they have a contract with the United States that stipulates before they can sell to another country, right? This was the question. Is there a stipulation in this contract that says before they can sell this to another country, they
do you
have
have to
to
do it
fulfill
here?
their order with the United States? Jen Psaki refuses to answer of whether or not
Of course.
could not or would not answer if the vaccine manufacturer are required to fill U.S. orders before other countries. Fucking of course there is, right? Of course there is.
Of course.
We invested millions and billions of dollars in private sector companies to make a vaccine because the government can't do it, right? So the next day, she's asked a very similar question about the AstraZeneca vaccine because the vaccine is not FDA approved and they have the contract with the U.S. government. So they can't give the shot to the United States, but they have millions of doses of the vaccine that is not being sold to other countries. It's sitting in the United States,
It's
right?
just in the gray area,
Right.
It's in the white space.
So Jen Psaki will not say that the companies aren't allowed to. She even said, like, no, there's no ban on them exporting it. Like, there's nothing to stop that. But, they have agreements with the United States that, like, they have to do X amount of doses. And so that's all. They have contracts. Yeah. So the reporter's like, wait, okay, so.
But
I'm asking you, in this contract, is there something that says they can't sell this to another country before they give it to the United States? And if so, why are we not doing something to at least amend that for now until it reaches FDA approval? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's, I don't have the details of, exactly what the contracts are. I don't,
I don't have a chapter in my binder for this one. What is this?
Which brings me to this, right? Which I wanted to talk about this because when the vaccine first started flowing out of Moderna, Pfizer, these started coming out. There's all this partisan rhetoric going around about, if it wasn't for big government, we couldn't have done this, right? It was all big government. And then conservatives that are like, if it wasn't for the private sector, this never would have happened. No private sector, no vaccine, right?
Ben Shapiro says, if it wasn't for Big Pharma, we wouldn't have this. He's like, well, that's why he's a Big Pharma guy.
Like many things, I have found the answer lies somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
Right? So I have this, not a timeline because I don't have dates here, but this is kind of a progression of how this works.
A flow.
Right? A flow chart.
Indeed.
Yes, thank you very much.
This happened, then
so
this
we'll
happened.
start during the Trump administration.
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
The vaccines start being created. Donald Trump did not use the Defense Production Act to force an increase in the production of the vaccines, right?
Was this the Project Lightspeed? Or
Warp Speed.
Warp Speed.
Project Warp Speed. Yes, yes.
And that's
because
so he provided incentives.
Yes, because Jen Psaki is also asked during about the Joe Biden speech, why didn't Joe Biden mention Donald Trump at least one time? Like, does the previous administration deserve no credit at all for having created this vaccine? And Jen Psaki says something to the effect of like, I have it in here. Credit the science. No, I have it.
I love it when you're like, oh, epiphany.
Yep, credit to the science. All I need is just the word science.
Science. The science. Everybody's all about the science. I love it.
Applauds the science. Steps. Got this. Applauded the science and the. She applauds the science, right? Regarding no mention of Trump regarding the vaccine, she applauded the science, right? So I think that we've really done a lot, and we've, applauded the science that got us here, and applauded the steps that have been taken since Biden came into office to increase the amount in all aspects of the vaccine. But still, again, refuse to acknowledge Trump at all, right? And that's
cut circles.
So that's what made me make this flowchart, right? Is because you literally, because she's saying this to like respond to Donald Trump's, blast email the other day of like, wouldn't have a vaccine if it wasn't for me, right?
The polar opposite.
So let's go over this, right? Donald Trump refused to use the Defense Production Act to force private sector companies to make the vaccine. Wasn't going to do it, right?
Different approach. Offered incentives.
Instead, right? Because we have these private sector companies like Moderna, like Pfizer, who have pretty much all of the doctors, all like the scientists, the researchers, the people who make vaccines, right? Also, because they're just a private sector company, they have very little incentive to do anything that doesn't benefit them financially on the back end, right? Objectively, that's the reality. Now let's take a look at big government, right? Pretty much no scientists because all they are is a government entity, at least in regards to creating vaccines, right? These type of
bureaucrats
things.
with bachelor's degrees.
These scientists, these doctors. Few doctors, endless cash flow because we can make whatever the fuck we want. They also happen to write the laws, right? So these two parties come together. There's a little bit of a dance, right? They pay the private sector, right? Enormous amounts of money, millions and billions of dollars. They pay the private sector. They also promise legal immunity for the producers of these vaccines. If you make this, we're going to test it. But if someone ends up getting fucked up, don't worry about it.
You guys are
we
fine.
told you to do it.
Covered.
It's going to be fine, right? So this not only relieves the barrier that they had to doing it, it also provides all of the financial incentive that we are going to guarantee this money and you're not going to get in trouble if anything bad happens on the back end, right? So the private sector is incentivized and they actually put out the fastest vaccine ever created in the history of fucking ever, right? History
Mankind.
of ever, right?
A modern miracle.
After this, Joe Biden comes into office. He uses the Defense Production Act to federally force companies, again, a policy decision, force companies to increase the amount of vaccines that they are creating, also force them to sell it to America before they sell it to anybody else. And then the Johnson & Johnson vaccine comes out. The same thing happens. We are going to use the Defense Production Act to do everything that we can to make sure that you can hit your goals. Give us all of the doses that you can, right? You cannot, Joe Biden can't exist and tout all of these things without the odd, weird cooperation of the private sector and big government. If they had not held hands and walked through the coronavirus together, we would not be where we are today.
Yep.
To not acknowledge the private sector, to not acknowledge Donald Trump is revisionist history at the least.
I think that's very fair. That sounds like spot on. I've never really thought about that, and because it's been a minute since this all has gone down, and to put it, just note it down in the order that it happened. You go, huh? Imagine that.
Right.
How gaslit are we now?
So that's what
How
I'm
gaslit
saying.
are we?
On both sides, it was all big government. You know what I'm saying? Then Ben Shapiro. If it wasn't for Big Pharma, this would never happen.
Yep.
Well, bullshit. Big Pharma was here the whole time, and until Donald Trump said we're going to give you millions and millions of dollars, they were like, "Who fucking cares? We'll put it on the back burner." But
it's almost like when there was a crisis,
yes,
people came together to try to accomplish a goal.
oh,
Wow. But now, it's do what I tell you to, or else, 'cause we're going to take over your company.
you make us happy. Thank you for being here.
This was amazing.
And I would not be surprised if Fauci had stock in Moderna. Wouldn't be surprised.
No. I will say that I want Fauci to throw out the first pitch at the first Mariners game.
Yeah,
Just
he also
for the entertainment value again.
You know,
Poor
Joe
guy.
Biden was also like, listen to Fauci. Like, you have to
Yeah.
do it. He laid out a
Yeah.
4-phase,
Yep.
I don't know, plan or like something that they're doing. The first phase was that all adults would be eligible by May, right?
Yeah.
The second step is they're going to create a database or portal so that we can look up vaccine locations, testing facilities, and how many doses are at that place so we can know whether or not it's worth it. And then you can also, schedule vaccinations, like appointments and stuff like that.
You know what's really wild is if you go to our state coronavirus website or in our county website, you can go find that information right now. Did you know that? We didn't need to be told by the federal government to do it. We just did it because it's kind of what we needed to
The
do.
state did it by itself. Super
Imagine-
weird.
Imagine that.
It's almost like Donald Trump said, I hate it because I hate Donald Trump.
I know.
And we are continuously like, oh, weird. It's almost like when the Trump was here. Like,
Yeah, I
I hate it.
I don't like it.
So
But it is what it is. Facts don't care about your feelings.
after that, the third step is to open the majority of K through 8 schools in the first 100 days. We have to. Okay, so the next.
Dog, what are
Chloe,
you doing, dog?
Chloe, I love you.
You
so
are
much.
being a
Please
bad
come
girl
over here.
today. Here.
So the next episode, we should maybe talk about unions
Yes.
and schools.
Unions in schools?
Yeah, and like how
I
these
love unions in schools.
So
this is my
maybe
favorite
we'll talk
thing.
about that on the next one because it's too big to get into the K through 8 school. Like
Yeah.
the school debate is too big of a thing for us
Yeah,
to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about in this topic. And the fourth one was guidance to get guidance for the freedoms of the vaccinated and the non-vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? Guidance for what people can do.
What freedoms do you get back?
After that, I want to tell you, get the shot, and maybe you'll have 4th of July. Listen to Fauci. He said, because the shot is safe. I know it's safe. Kamala Harris and I know that it's safe, and that's why we took it on camera in front of the whole nation. Oh, is that why you guys both said that if the shot came out during Donald Trump's administration that you shouldn't take it, and now you only have 0.5% of the black population in America that's gotten the shot, and you can't, for some reason, somehow figure out why you can't get them to get the shot?
Yep.
Is that why?
In their defense,
Right.
In their defense, they never actually just straight out came and said, "Don't do it."
She
They
never
just
said don't.
heavily implied
And
that they
said,
would
"I
think
wouldn't."
twice, and I wouldn't.
Yes.
Yes. They
Yes.
never directly told you
Right,
not to,
right.
but
Right.
they did tell them. that
Super
they would.
weird.
And then they did. It's funny. They have the Trump vaccine in their arm. Is that what's going on? No. They have
It's
a vaccine in their arm. It's not.
We talked about it, like the way they were running it was like Donald Trump is cooking it in the basement. Like Donald Trump is fucking whipping it in the crock pot. Like Donald
Bryan
Trump,
Cranston
it
style.
doesn't even fucking know how a vaccine works.
No, you can. There's some way maybe to infuse.
I'm saying Donald
the
Trump
light.
is so stupid that he's saying things that you can misinterpret to say he's thinking inject bleach in your eye. Like that's how dumb
Oh
he
my
is.
God.
But for some reason we're like, don't get the Trump vaccine.
Yeah.
You can't trust that shit.
Because he's
Dude,
making it.
it's the same one
I
that
love
you're
it.
giving out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, so
Cuomo
we
gets
really want to
it.
make sure that you do that because, if you don't, then we're going to have to lock down again. And we really don't want to do that. We
Yeah.
really don't want to do the restrictions again. So make sure that you're good.
I don't want to do the restrictions again either, so I won't.
Yeah. And then it was after that Jen Psaki said they're going to go on the Help Is Here tour. So
That's just like it's a literal victory lap.
yes,
But what?
for something that's 2 months.
But we're
late.
still in the middle.
Yeah.
We're not out of danger. We need to be careful about this
Yes.
until September. That's why we're all the financial aid till September. We need to be careful. Why are
It's
you
like
going on a
Cuomo.
speaking tour now?
It's like Cuomo.
Almost as if that the doctor from Johns Hopkins who said that once you get the vaccine, within a month of taking the vaccine, you are 100% good. You should be able to just go around. You're good.
Yeah.
But fuck him. John, who listens to Johns Hopkins doctors?
Fuck 'em.
We listen to Fauci, a government bureaucrat. Don't you love the world? Anything else on that, big shooter?
Nope.
Or do you
that's
want to
all.
learn about the magic that is phase 3 of Washington
do it.
State's coronavirus
Let's do
reopening? So this came out. Okay, first of all, it's been a minute since we have been in phase 2, right? Been in phase 2 for a month now, I believe. 2 weeks behind schedule.
Yeah.
On Thursday, March 11th. Yep, so it was the same day that we passed the bill and signed it. So this is what he was waiting on.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's directly tying it to
More
it.
funds.
But our beloved governor,
Highest paid public employee. That's right. Fauci.
that's right.
Listen to Fauci.
Listen to Fauci.
He knows.
Our lovely beloved governor
Did you-
Jay Inslee. Go ahead.
Before you do this, did you watch Crowder yesterday?
Yes.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I believe so.
Okay, so did you see
With the one with the Hodge twins?
Rand Paul interview?
Yes.
Okay.
That was magical.
So it was beautiful to listen to Rand Paul be like, "Oh, didn't you guys hear about all the dozen times that Fauci told me that I was wrong publicly,
Yep.
and then I ended up actually being right?"
Huh.
Like, what the shit, bro?
He didn't care, dude.
He did no fucks given. He's
No.
like, this is just, no one fucking likes me, so
Yeah,
I
whatever.
just
I'm
keep
just gonna
doing
do
me and saying shit, and
Get beat up by my neighbor.
people hate on me and on the news, and
Getting
it's
chased by-
fine.
by rioters. I mean,
Yeah.
geez. This poor dude.
Dude,
Yeah, that was a good conversation. I was surprised
Swaggins from
how
Rand
kind
Paul.
of like loosey goosey he got.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
Forget that he's a real doctor,
Yeah, practicing,
Yeah.
which is
Actual doctor.
so weird. So weird.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyways,
So phase
let's do
3,
this.
Washington
Phase
State.
3. Governor Inslee on Thursday announced that as of March 22nd,
We're gonna go into phase 3.
all states will be entering phase 3, right?
Right.
Which is like we're eligible for it by the numbers. And he acknowledged now that we got a phase 3 coming. Here is the layout. It's kind of
Here's
essentially
part
what
of
it
the
used to
layout.
be.
Here's what
Yeah.
we know.
This is what we know so far because we don't have dials yet or anything like that, and they got another 2 weeks to come up with all of this. Well, I guess a little over a week.
Well, he said they were going to come out with
Monday
the rest of
after
the
next.
guidance next week.
Yeah.
Like that they already don't have totally what phase 3 is going to look like.
Because what have you been doing?
Right.
What have you been doing for this last? I mean, we go into phase 2.
Right.
You not thinking about phase? Either way, that's on the side. So anyways, we got some new guidance right now. Officially, I mentioned it before, the Hunger Games are over. We are no longer broken down into districts
Damn
and
it.
regions. We are now just county-based once again.
I didn't get to volunteer as tribute.
You know, we all have goals in life. Some are better than others.
Yeah, I did last time I was here, but no one heard me, I don't think.
I volunteered. I believe you
I
did.
never got picked up. No one came to my house,
That's probably a good thing.
I guess.
But so anyways, now it's broken down into large counties and small counties. Smaller counties are with anybody with 50,000 people or less, and then large county is anything other than
It's a
that.
small county, bro.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I thought to really localize it in our county, we're 271,000 people in this
There's
county.
like 40,000 people in
But
Bremerton.
we're like a suburb.
Yeah.
You know, we have grass and trees and forests. You know, but not that many. There's not a whole lot of more building space anymore. But anyways, we have some new metrics that we have to meet. And it's less than there was before as of right now. It's just 2. There is number of your population of new cases. The new cases in the population based off of a 14-day period, right? And then it's going to be the number of vaccinations as a percentage per capita of 100,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, the hospitalizations. We have no more than 5 hospitalizations per capita of 100,000 people
Yeah.
over a period of 1 week.
Will you do me a favor?
Yes.
Will you tweet this article real quick?
Yes. It's a Medium post, I should say. This is kind of like the official
Word.
governor's thing. So
I only say that
we will
because
tweet it out.
you can find Colin on Twitter at Big Bird Offie. You can find me at Salt of the Street. You can find us on Instagram. Colin is also Big Bird Offie on that. I am at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. And we have our Salt of the Streets Instagram at Salt of the Streets. We have our Facebook at Salt of the Streets Facebook, YouTube at Salt of the Streets. SaltofTheStreets.com for all this information. If you are watching us on YouTube right now, like all of you beautiful people, go ahead and leave us a like and share us and comment.
Comment.
All the things. Tell your friends about us. It really helps other people find us. We are trying to grow. We are trying to get out here. We want to share information with other people with the globe. Help us do that. Let your friends know.
I just tweeted it.
There you go. Article's
Boom, it's out there. You can check it out over at my Twitter. So when he goes on to talk about hospitalizations over, I forget how people phrase that per 1,000 or 100,000 population.
Yeah.
So anyways, we got that going on. That allows us to move into phase 3, which essentially is real similar to the old phase 3, right? We're moving up from 25% capacity in like things like restaurants and things like that to 50. Like we're boosting up, like in the original one, and then
50%.
phase 4 in last year's phase plan was 75%.
Yeah.
And this is a key phase because now outdoor spectacular events, I think is what they're defined as, can now be partaken in at a 25% of capacity rate. That means you can go to the Mariners opening day, and we can watch Fauci throw that ball 20 feet. Yeah, and so that's dope.
That's not till November though.
But yeah, okay. But
September.
So and all this will take effect
Yeah.
March 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah, like I said before. So for large counties that remain in phase 3, yeah. So now he's going to be unfreezing that whole you can't fall back thing, like we have right now. We're under a current phase where no counties are falling back into phase 1. But once this goes live, then it's like somebody hit the pause button.
We can fall back to phase 2.
Yeah. So like when Inslee said we're gonna take a pause, we literally paused the game and they added another level. Like that's what we're doing now. So phase 3. Sports guidance will change in phase 3 to allow in-person spectators at events for the first time in a year. Spectators will be allowed to attend outdoor venues with permanent seating with capacity capped at 25%. The change affects both professional and high school sports, as well as motorsports, rodeos, and other outdoor spectacular events. That's spectacular events. Social distancing and facial coverings will still be required. New phase also allows for up to 400 people maximum to attend outdoor activities. So we'll see what happens with that.
Can you imagine?
That's not that many.
You've been to a baseball game before, right?
That's.
Can you imagine how long the concession lines are going to be if everyone's got to be socially distanced? You got to have 6 feet in between all the people.
But imagine if there's only a quarter of the people there.
Oh, word.
Right? I just thought about that.
Yo, that's worth going.
That seems kind of cool. So, But yeah, so we're getting a little bit more of our freedoms back
Phase
here.
3.
All this right now is in the unofficial medium post capacity. So there is really no official guidance as of yet. But anyways, I looked at our numbers for our county, and we have, with our multiplier per capita for that 100,000, we have a 2.714 multiplier, right? So then you take the hospital or the new caseload. It's supposed to be 200 new cases per 100,000. That means that we can have up to 543 cases per day in that two-week average. So that's 543 is our magic number we want to stay below. And then for hospitalizations over a 7-day period, it's 14.
Nice.
So, and right now we are sitting at 89 cases per 100,000 just 89 cases. So we're like hundreds below where we are, and hospitalizations we're at 6. So as of right now, we qualify to Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Once we all enter into phase 3 on the 22nd, there will be a 3-week period. This time instead of the former 2 weeks. So April 12th, they will be coming back to reassess and look at what to do from there.
Go to phase 4 after that.
I mean, let's hope that between today, March 13th, and April 12th, that they come up with a plan of where to go next.
That would be nice.
Because I don't see it turning around anytime soon, but who knows?
To know what phase 4 looks like in phase 3 would be nice.
It would be nice.
You know?
Just kind of like I've been, yelling at him on Twitter every single time he tweets something for the last month. Because I feel like there should probably have been some guidance. We've been doing this pandemic thing for over a year.
To your credit,
So
I follow a lot of local news people, and you are the only person that I have heard actually taking shots at him for not having some type of plan that was public, or at least an idea of what it would look like, or when, or anything. So
because we had a 4-phase plan.
It makes me sad for the world, but happy to see that you are like, this is not free. These are not freedoms here.
No.
We're not free if they're not even telling us when we can start to do things. Like, yeah,
That's the difference,
it's
right?
not even a semblance of freedom if they're not. Just don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about
Just
it.
go ahead and jump off that cliff.
Yeah.
You don't need to know how deep it is.
Don't
Just
worry
jump
about it.
off,
We'll
and
figure
you'll
it
be
out.
fine. Yeah. So that's where we're at. We got to sit here for another month, and hopefully we'll get some more of our freedoms back.
You love to see it.
I'd love to see phase 3, considering that, before it didn't exist.
Yeah.
It didn't exist a week ago. Because he was too busy out there going to elementary schools, visiting the children who are going back to school in a reduced capacity.
Yeah.
Oh, during his speech to the next day, actually it was on the Friday afterwards, he spoke about school reopenings because we the state are getting $2.6 billion from the COVID relief package.
Yes.
That's part of the state goes to the schools.
Yes.
The so many billion for schools. That's ours, and so he is urging schools to get back to school, K through. Oh, I wrote down the numbers here, the dates. Hang on a second. The dates were. Oh, come on. Pull up my pictures because I was taking on a picture. So he wants by April 5th, K through 6 schools to adopt some form of mandatory on-site learning. That option needs to be available for any parent that wants it, right? And then by the 19th of April, K through 12, they need to adopt some form of a hybrid model where if a parent wants to send their kids to school for a portion of the week, right now he's requiring no more than 30% of learning hours to qualify
the fuck
as,
does that
as
even
the hybrid
mean?
model. Exactly. That
Hey,
means
what is that? 2 days of I don't understand. Like,
2 days, one, partial hours, because, you try to split
just
a
give me
5 days.
2 days.
Yeah, what's
2 days in, 3 days out. Like, what
out
the
of
fuck?
how many hours you're at school over 5 days? 30 hours. So that'll probably look like 2 days a week. Whatever the school, I don't know. Their school bus is out right now.
The school
So I don't know
the
what's going
school's
on.
like 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's
And, like
the
I'm
same
not
as-
too tapped in. We should talk to
man.
Shayna
Yes.
about what
Yeah,
she's got
she
going on
would
with
know,
schools. She might know.
obviously.
Yeah, that'd be good talk.
1
So,
to 2 days per week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, so that happened on Friday too. That's kind of an adjacent thing to this. So
Ah, you gotta love
for a
it.
reopening. So cool. We're moving in.
We love freedom.
Freedom. Well, some of our freedoms. So with that,
Sports.
sports.
Do you want to talk about sports?
Yes,
Cool.
always. I kind of want to, dip for a second.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay.
I'll
So
listen through the wall.
football things are starting to happen. If you guys have been listening to the show for any period of time, you know that sports is mostly football around here, and we have some, free agency is happening, and we're like the signing period for what am I looking for? Franchise tags. Those things have been happening. So we're just gonna go ahead and run through some recent football news for you guys. The Chargers released their corner, Casey Hayward, which is sad. He is excellent. Be interested to see that. Let's see. The 49ers have agreed to 2-year terms with corner Emmanuel Mosley, 2 years worth of $10.1 million. The Chargers released Trey Turner as their Pro Bowl guard. The Chiefs are saving $17 million in cap space by converting Patrick Mahomes' $21.7 million roster bonus. Jesus Christ, this guy. Let's see. We have the Texans signed Christian Kirksey to a 1-year deal, $4.5 million. He came from the Browns. Tom Brady signed another contract extension, 4 years, that converts to a 1. I don't know exactly how this works out, but he's in Tampa through 2022, and it saves.
Is that still within his original time parameters for wanting to retire?
I think he's just going to keep going 1 year. He's just going to keep
doing it.
keep going, just keep going and keep
Just
going and
keep
keep going.
swimming, just
Yeah,
keep
so this
swimming.
it converted his extension and it
rings.
saved them $17 million. So
Oh.
it's going to allow them $19 million. And so they're going to be able to go out and sign a couple more people to try and make the team a little bit better. Tom
Because now
Brady-
it's not about the money now. It's just about the fame and the fortune.
for him, it's partially for money because that's why he went to Tampa. Is he wanted money. He was taking pay cuts in New England the entire time he was there
Oh,
to have
wow.
a better team. And he said he wanted more money, and they said no, so he went to Tampa. Tampa
the
Bay
more I
paid
want to
him.
hate the guy, the more I can't.
Exactly. The Saints released their tackle, Malcolm Brown, D-tackle. They also adjusted Michael Thomas's contract, saved about $9 million. Cam Newton, he re-signed with the Pats for 1 year, close to $14 million. The Bears are signing Cairo Santos. He's their kicker, 5 years, $16 million.
No kickers in the new league?
The Texans, they signed Mark Ingram, played for the Ravens last year, and I believe 3 years, maybe just 2 years. Signed him to a 1-year deal up to $3 million. There was fucking J.J. Watt went to the Cardinals. J.J. Watt signed to the Cardinals, so that sucks really bad.
You on Instagram?
Yes.
Is that what this is? Because this is dope. Who does this?
This is a guy named JPA Football. That's the account. This is, it's
That's
excellent.
dope.
Excellent news, really good
Yeah.
graphics. Yeah.
I like
Excellent
it.
posts. I like this guy.
Shout out.
He's just like a regular dude. He's like 23 years old. He's a sports writer in like California or something.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
So this is just
Good for him. I like it.
very good for him. Yeah. The Buccaneers
cool.
signed another wide receiver, Jaden. Oh, just kidding. Did not sign him. He was arrested last week.
Here we thought we had
yeah,
some trade
yeah,
news.
No, he was arrested last week after the cops found a concealed firearm in his car during a traffic stop. All gun laws are infringements. I'll just
there
go
you
ahead and leave that there. Let's see. Janoris Jenkins got released from the Saints. That's unfortunate.
What's going on with Russ? What's going on with Russ? I keep hearing
Man.
things with Russ.
So Russ, they fucking he went on somewhere. He went on somebody's show and was talking about not being happy about the offensive line. No shit. We've
Yeah.
known it for years. The
Word.
offensive line is terrible. He
And they're
needs a
not
better
getting their
offensive
shit
line.
together.
They're not getting any better. So that's, apparently over last year, the last 2 seasons, he has voiced his opinion on the offensive line in the locker room, in the regular facilities, and he's been silenced. He's been told kind of to shut the fuck up, which is obviously not good. It's Russell Wilson. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks alive in the league right now. So
What?
the
Who's
last
telling
thing
him to shut
that
up?
Pete Carroll, people who are running the team. Pete Carroll has more sway than it
Yeah.
appears on the outside. He's also like the vice president of football operations or something like that. He has like huge.
Woo.
Yeah, he just signed another contract extension, so
Good for
he
Pete.
he has big play in the facility, especially in the organization. That's what I'm looking for. Especially since Paul Allen died.
Oh,
Paul
yeah.
Allen was very involved. He loved football. He was very involved in the team and all of everything that happened.
God, I forgot about that.
It's his wife now that owns the team. Which is not
Hands
to
off.
her fault. Yeah, she just doesn't. It's not her thing. Football's not her thing. She just owns the team. So there are other people more involved now. So there are different people's visions that are starting to kind of take hold. Apparently, they are either listening to trade offers or have taken calls. I don't know. They're not soliciting trades, but they have listened to trade offers from other teams for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has come out and said there are like 5 teams that he's willing to play for. He has a no trade clause in his contract, so it would have to be voided mutually for them to be able to go there.
I understand the reaction when they asked you now.
So
I
there
don't
are
like any of that.
There are a lot of things. Okay, let me start here.
We cannot
last thing that
lose
I
Russell
want-
Wilson.
The last thing that I want is for Russell Wilson to not play football here anymore because I don't think that it's what's best for the Seahawks. We already chose not to franchise tag Chris Carson, which I don't think is a terrible thing, but they're trying to save money. They're trying to get money so they can sign more people, which I think you need to do. Obviously, you need to do if you want to keep Russ.
Yeah.
There would have to be a really, really good trade for me to feel comfortable giving up Russell Wilson. There are very few quarterbacks in the league right now that I would rather have over Russell Wilson,
Yeah.
or that I would even accept instead of Russell Wilson. I think the only ones I would take instead of Russell Wilson is like Tom
Brady.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers. I probably wouldn't even take Patrick Mahomes.
No.
So there are very few people, and I'm sure that's biased. Anybody out of state listening, I'm sure that's biased. I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes isn't great. I just
That's
don't
part
know
of the
that I would take
conversation,
him instead of
Yeah.
Russell Wilson. Are there people I
Man.
would be happy with if I didn't have Russell Wilson? If I could have Justin Herbert, I would be happy with that. If I could have
If he went, it would be somebody, but it wouldn't be anybody that I would accept.
exactly.
Because
So
if the goal is to save money.
our team is so reliant on a quarterback at this point in time of Russell Wilson's caliber that to have anybody else come in is going to, knock 20% of the wins off of the team off top, I think. It's got to happen eventually, but I don't want to see a rebuild in the Hawks right now. And if you're going to get a new quarterback, unless they're going to be a young quarterback with exactly the same style as Russell Wilson, you're going to have to rebuild the team. The team is built around Russell Wilson and his skills
Yeah.
at this point in time. So if that's not what you're doing, I don't know.
It's built that way, and there's one shaky wall, and it's the wall of flesh that's trying to protect him.
Yeah.
It's their job to protect him, and they failed to do it, and he has overcome for so many years. I can see him being tired of it. Like, bro, I'm tired of getting beaten up. All right? I
I'm
can't
saying-
carry us.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hold the line.
He's been sacked more times
Diamond
than any other
hands.
quarterback in the NFL.
That's-
There's no reason for that.
No. And how
So-
and then how are you not firing the offensive line coach or whatever, and then 'cause
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real thing, offensive coach,
Mhm.
or why are you not
there's-
holding people accountable for
Yeah.
not doing what they're supposed to do? They suck.
There's the offensive coordinator, and then underneath them, there's the line coach, the wide receivers coach, the quarterback coach. There are different coaches for each different position.
Yeah, that's right.
Each position group. So
Position group.
yeah, so there's a lot of rumors. I personally don't think he'll go anywhere. But
Especially this season, right? If they're gonna come back and play hard,
yeah, I don't.
it's too
think,
late in the game for major things. Although crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
So I'll just hope that doesn't happen.
Still have the draft and all that shit to happen. So there's a lot of things.
Oh boy.
But I don't think that.
Yeah, because
I don't think they
when
will.
the Seahawks go to the draft, that might
We don't have shit
tell
for
us some
picks. That's the
things.
thing. Is we don't have hardly any picks because we traded picks away to get Jamal Adams and all this. So we don't have any first round picks or. So I think the first pick we have is a third round pick. So we would also, if we're going to trade Russell Wilson, is to get like massive picks, like 2 first-round picks, 3 first-round picks, plus whatever the fuck else,
Yeah. Man. So
So, I mean, Deshaun Watson just got traded for like 3 first-round picks, I think, and Russell Wilson's better than Deshaun Watson. So, at least 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, which is a fucking insane haul for any team to trade. Plus the amount of cap, the amount of money they're going to eat when they take over his contract, because there's no way we're going to hold on to all that money and let go of Russell Wilson. I mean, we just signed him to like a $140 million contract like 2 years ago. It's like all guaranteed. So we're not going to eat that. If he goes,
that's true.
We're going to force the other team to eat that contract. So
man, tough spot.
that's what I'm saying. The amount of money that we would have to be given, money
Yeah.
and picks, the treasure
To
that we
make
would
that
have
up.
to take in to get rid of Russell Wilson,
At least
I
that.
almost don't know is worth any team to give up. You know,
Oh yeah.
unless they think
That would
they
be
can
like
get
a
him
Tom
and then
Brady.
win. Unless they think they can get him and then win for like 3 years in a row, or be competitive to winning for 3 years in a row, I don't see how you can. And I obviously haven't given deep thought to that, but I would have to think really hard to think of a team that I think you could take
like,
Russell Wilson
trying
and
to
insert them, and they would be Super Bowl level competition for the next 3 years.
No.
I would have to really think about that.
Because you have to build the team around Russ.
Yes.
And I don't. Yeah, there's nobody that plays like the Seahawks, to most people's benefit these days.
So I mean the Bears maybe, but the Bears are not going to be a Super Bowl team for the next 3 years
No.
immediately. That's not.
Go Bears.
No.
No, man,
So-
that ain't happening. So I forgot I wanted to ask you this during sports,
Yes.
but it's related to the Rona.
Deal.
As we, this will be the first season that we can go back to sports games, football, baseball, because they have to be operating on a reduced capacity. I have a feeling everything's going to be more expensive.
Probably.
How much? If you had to guess, like a
Man.
25%? Or is
It's got to be. I
You
mean,
know?
they're gonna. It's not gonna be like 100% because they're gonna save money by having less people working there. You
Yeah.
know, less shit is gonna be open. So
And I bet you they have grants available to get extra funding for, PPE and whatever.
So fuck, dude.
But I would hope that
Not gonna be cheaper. They're definitely not
No.
gonna be cheaper.
it won't be.
I'm gonna say a 25% increase or something like that. I don't mean. A
'Cause
ticket
it's
to
expensive
go,
enough to
it's
go,
a couple
man.
$100.
Concessions alone, not ticket price.
Yeah.
Unless
Couple
you wanna sit
$100
up in
for
the
tickets to a
nosebleeds.
Hawks game.
Yeah. And in the nosebleeds.
Yes, like $300+.
Yeah, and then if you want to go with like the wife, it's not one, it's two.
Yeah.
It's a lot of tickets.
You're talking about almost $1,000 to go to a football game. You know what I'm saying?
And it's the Seahawks, and so it's a 50-50 whether that's just going to be a massive disappointment or not.
Could go to a game where you're like, bro, they're about to just boat race this
Boom.
team, and they might fucking lose.
Yep.
That shit happens.
That's what the Hawks do.
Yeah.
Word. How much time? We have 3 left. We should probably wrap it up. Word. Sounds good to me,
Do you have
man.
anything else that you wanted to throw
I
in
don't
here?
think so.
No?
I'm trying to think. Unless you got more sports.
Let me ask you one more thing. No,
Yeah.
nothing more sports. What the fuck is an NFT? Have you heard about this? NFT? Non-fungible token?
No.
Okay. All right. Word. NFT. First heard about it on Tim Dillon, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? An NFT, a non-fungible token, is a thing on...
Sounds crypto.
Kind of.
Okay.
It's a thing on the internet, right? That you can purchase. Everybody else can get access to, but you own it. You're the only person that owns it. So Taco Bell has an NFT. Lindsay Lohan has an NFT that someone bought for $17,000. It's like a coin of her, and she's like holding a Bitcoin, I think.
What?
Real estate inside of video games online, NFTs.
Oh. Not real things that you buy and are property.
Yes.
I feel like I might have to Google this.
So somebody just sold a painting for tens of thousands of dollars. A digital
Oh.
painting online.
Word. Like my background on The computer. That would be an NFT. Somebody could make that and sell it online.
Yes.
Got it.
But then only one person can own it. But then you could still have it as your background. Because you can get access to it, you know. Feasibly, you can control who has, you know. But
so you'd be
it's
like
the internet.
selling out licenses to display something as your own. I don't understand. My brain's
Look
kinda
up the
breaking.
Taco Bell NFT.
Okay. Because when you
Wow,
say Taco
Magic-
Bell, I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Wow, magic items used to be sold for real money. Yes.
Yeah, word.
Yeah. Yeah. Look up the Taco Bell NFT.
Taco Bell NFT.
Taco Bell issued NFTs for digital taco art. Yes.
What?
Okay. So the taco art. And it's done through blockchain. And so you can verify who the owner is. And so you can own something on the internet. Gifts. People are selling gifts. And other people can use it, but you own it.
So it's like a copyright thing. Like
I don't
fine.
understand it. I don't.
I need to do more research into this. I'm
look
really
it.
confused.
That's it. That's the NFT. Look it. Go down. Scroll down. That's the Taco Bell NFT.
That's it. So you can get that.
You can buy introducing NFT Taco Bell. NF Taco Bell. Yes. So you purchase
Taco
this
Bell.
thing. The art was sold on the Rarible marketplace, and according to The Verge, the 25 tokens it was put up were sold within a half hour. Yes.
What?
Yes.
What is going on
Okay.
here?
So also.
What is
It's
this?
a tax scam, right? That's Tim Dillon is like, it's a tax scam because you can take all these things, right? They said they have 25 tokens. And so look, that's when people sold a piece of digital art for $69 million at auction. NFT, $69 million NFT. Okay, so the Taco Bell.
Grimes
The
made 5.8 million
Yes.
selling digital.
Yes. Fucking, there was some band that released their album for free but sold one copy of it digitally for millions of dollars. But it's for free on the internet. But one person owns the actual album on the internet. So, check this, right? As far as NFT goes, for NF Taco Bell, for example, right?
This
You
fucking
take-
GIF?
They have 25 of these coins that you could buy, the tokens, right?
Yeah.
So when the first token is sold for however much it's sold for, let's say $10,000, that, let's just say, that's the value of the tokens, right? That's how, just listen,
is going
follow
on?
me here. That's the value of the tokens, right? The other tokens, you take the $24,000 or whatever, $240,000 from the other ones. You can donate these tokens at the value of $10,000 per token. You can then claim this as a loss on your taxes because you donated all of this money. I'm not explaining it well. Lyra would say that's not right. Listen to Tim Dillon. He explains it
So
better.
NFTs are
It's a way to take a loss on your taxes without actually losing anything. Because you're making a thing on the internet that you're selling.
yeah, and then it's still going to be there because it's on the
And
fucking
then you get
internet.
a tax break. Yes.
I cannot
Yes.
believe. Well, okay. All right. I'm going to look more into this and gain a better understanding because
Watch the
not-
most recent.
not due to the way you're explaining it to me. I think I am just failing to comprehend the foundational
It doesn't make any sense.
concept
It
here.
doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you.
Good.
It's
Good.
taken me
so my
almost a week.
confusion is apt.
Taken me almost a week to get here.
Okay.
To where I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. But
Because I'm
listen.
like, well, then I'm going to make something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make an NFT and make a bunch of money, and then I'm gonna be like, Larry, this is what I did, bro. Make me money in my taxes. Write that shit off.
Yeah. Watch the most recent episode of Tim Dillon podcast.
I do love Tim Dillon.
Telling you,
That dude he's
It's
a wild man.
it's a tax scam. Yeah.
I believe it. People are
So-
trying to come up with legit tax scams all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of them, and people get away with it until all of a sudden somebody catches on, and then they're like, well, we need to make this a law.
So there you go.
That was fantastic. I didn't ask you earlier. I know we're running long, but have you watched anything good recently?
I watched a movie last weekend. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was on Amazon. It was a French movie, French-Canadian movie, about
French-Canadian
some
movie.
people who got radicalized or something and decided to go stay at a wilderness commune to learn survival skills. And when they were there,
Of course you fucking watched this movie.
and when they were there,
It makes so much sense, Donovan.
someone died on accident,
Oh, no.
and they had to try and cover up the murder or like the death, and then there was a split in the group of whether or not they were going to cover it up or try and call the police. And so then a fight ensues and the people try and escape. I also watched a movie called Guns Akimbo.
Oh, dude.
Guns Akimbo, right? What the fuck? First sale sets the price, then you make the money by selling a virtual item and donate the rest for a price and get a tax break. Yes. Thank you.
I think it was a question mark.
Yes.
But yes,
That's what I'm saying.
that totally makes sense. Now that I see it.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
I used the wrong words because I don't know money, but that's what I'm saying. But all
That's
of the
so
items are
wild.
virtual. It's just the one that sets the price for it, and then you can donate these other things at this value.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yes.
But I'm a big fan.
Yes. I'm telling you.
Dude, I'm telling you, the internet is finding more and more innovative ways to tell the government to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. We have cryptocurrency. How many cryptos? You'll never stop us.
You'll never know.
I cannot believe what's Bitcoin at now. Is it doing something wild and just jumping like are we having a massive $61,000?
Watch this.
$61,000. It went up.
$1,000 just in the last hour.
Yeah.
Damn.
What is going on with
Ooh,
Bitcoin?
Bone Tomahawk, savage.
Bone Tomahawk is a great movie.
Yeah. I can't find this movie. Maybe I didn't watch it on here. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a French movie, French Canadian movie. But yeah,
It's a French movie, French Canadian, different continents, bro.
It's a French Canadian movie. But yeah, then Guns Akimbo. You seen that,
Yeah.
right?
Long
Fucking
time ago, but
Super weird. Drilled into his hands. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
And he's the guy that looks like Harry Potter.
He
but
is Harry Potter.
He is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
He is the one.
not in that movie, obviously, but Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, he was in that one movie, that other recent movie where like
The Jungle.
the corpse,
Oh.
right?
Oh,
Remember that?
Yeah,
With- I
yeah.
can't remember.
What the
He
fuck
the
was that
corpse.
movie called?
Oh,
With the kid from Little Miss Sunshine.
yes.
What the fuck was that?
Oh.
Swiss Army Man.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
that was a wild
That's a
movie.
fucking... Daniel Radcliffe got into some weird shit.
He did.
He's like, I'm going to be Harry Potter. I'm going to do all indie movies forever. Just weird shit. What the fuck?
I like it. I'm a big fan because
Oh, me too. They've all been good.
yeah, because they're not just the same
Yeah.
crap that we get all the time. Some of them are like, for me, they're hit or misses for me. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. But like, they're all good movies.
Swiss Army Man was fucking
It's
weird,
so weird.
bro.
Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched
That-
Jojo Rabbit.
That was so
good.
good. So good.
Jojo Rabbit was good.
I recently watched Kong Skull Island.
How was that?
Oh, it's so good. Like
Really?
Brie
Terrible
Larson.
good?
Brie Larson is in it.
Young Brie Larson, huh?
Younger,
Yeah.
but not that young. I mean,
Like close
this
to
was
10
recently.
years ago.
No.
No?
No, it's new. No, it's not like
Oh.
it's not the old King Kong with like Nicole Kidman
okay.
and
This was
stuff.
after Godzilla.
Yes, and it's a
Okay.
part of that same world that they're doing right now,
Because
right?
this next one they're gonna fight, right? It's Godzilla versus King
Yeah.
Kong. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man. So, and I'm super into
Yeah, I'm sure.
those movies.
I want to go to the movies, yo.
Talk to Micaiah. I saw a tweet
Yeah.
the other day. He's super jazzed to go to
We
the
should-
movies.
we should
I'm really
fucking-
not excited
I think
about
you can rent out a movie theater for not that much money.
Word. Or we can use
do
like the magic of technology and living in the future, and one person can buy the movie on Amazon or on HBO or whatever they're doing with all like the same day releases, and we could do a film party at a house.
It's not the same.
You're like, no, I want to go to the theater.
I want to go to the
You
movies.
people are weird. Wifey's like that too. She loves going to the movie theater and going to the movie. Get a hot dog. Actually, we're doing that tomorrow.
Good
I think.
$5 hot dog.
Yep, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. But
Good
I
old
mean,
movie theater
it's
hot dog.
obviously like I tell her, I give her a hard time whenever we do it because I'm like, God,
Cook
what
it
a
on a
weirdo, you get a
rotating
thing? Yes. Except if you go to the one like in Paulsville or whatever, they go microwave it in the back.
Oh,
It's-
gay.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, it's no good.
Come on.
Oh, how PC, bro?
I know.
Um,
You can't say that.
you can't say that. You can't make those noises with your mouth. But I don't know. I've never been into theaters, man. And especially, I got really weirded out with, like, public shootings and shit.
Yeah.
Mass shootings. I'm like, nah, I don't need to. Every time I go in there,
Go to Strebels first? What
I'm
the fuck
always
is
on a
that?
thing. Don't worry about that. I'll tell you about that later. What? Yes, thank you. Go to Strebels first. It's a place. Shameless plug.
All right.
I'll tell you about it after the show. I don't want to blow up their spot. But yeah. Forgot. What? Whoa, yeah, watching
Movies.
the movies, the King Kong.
Oh,
Yeah.
mass shootings going to the movie theater. I'll tell you
Yeah,
what.
I don't want to go to the movie
Once
theater.
I got a gun, there's even like a little thing,
Don't bring guns
I'm
in here.
incriminating myself. I went and I asked the cops after I got my gun. I was like, "What's the deal
Yep.
with all these gun signs?" Because I don't understand what the legality is. Like, what's the And he was like, "Technically, they're not legally binding. Like,
No.
they can't.
They can't tell you can't
No,
carry in an open
but-
carry state.
But they're allowed to make their own rules for what they do on the premises. So if they see you concealed carrying," he said, which they shouldn't if you're doing a good job of it, then they can ask you to leave. And then if you say no, then you're trespassing. He was like, but that's the only way that would be above. So fuck those signs. I don't.
Yeah.
If there's nothing that's going to hinder me from bringing my gun in there, I'm going to carry
Yeah.
because I just refuse to be at a disadvantage. You know what I'm saying?
Point. That's a very good point.
So movie theater.
Fuck 2A
Carry.
shill. Come on.
If I could, I'd say that my AR across my lap. It's comfy, bro.
Oh yeah.
It's nice. It's like a weighted blanket.
You sleep with it, just lay down.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
nice.
comfy.
Have you ever seen? This is like a throwback, and I don't know if you were even into skateboarding, but
I was
back in the
Till I broke my
day, right? The Bones Brigade. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Like old school Tony Hawk.
arm. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay. So when Tony Hawk was a young
Young lad.
right? He was in a group called the Bones Brigade, and they made a skate video called Animal Chin. Search for Animal Chin. That's who it is. Animal Chin, right? And
You want to know why he's a millionaire? That's why. That's a dope name.
in this skate video, they're like sleeping with their boards in a hotel room and stuff like that. Yeah, and
God, I
they
miss skate videos, man.
Thank you for joining us. We're gonna be out here soon. So
Word.
yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
That's funny.
Sleeping with their boards in a hotel room. Yeah, Animal Chin. You should peep that. It's a sick video. It's really cool.
I
Doing
did see
some
they
big ass ramps and shit.
like redid a Tony Hawk game. You re-released like a new
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been thinking about getting that because I used to be
Love
super
those
deep into
games.
those games.
I've been playing Injustice lately.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Injustice
yeah.
2. Oh my god.
Hard.
It is hard. Yeah.
It goes hard.
Oh yeah, it goes hard too. Yeah. And Dax has been really into it. He's been watching me play. They went to the park last week, and
yeah,
there was
superheroes.
a little girl there that I guess was younger than Dax, and she was like sitting on the merry-go-round thing, and Dax went up to talk to her. He uses a lot of sign language, like that's how he talks, so he knows how to say video games in sign language. And so he walked up to her and he starts like doing this. He's like talking to her, in sign language about playing a video game. And because it's Injustice, they're fighting each other. So he goes, "Ah!" and just throws his fists and like grunts and shit like that. So that's like when he's talking about playing superhero video game. That's what he'll do. He'll do this, and then he goes, "Ah!" And so he's fucking talking to this girl. He's and Jordan is like, "So you're talking to her about playing superhero video game?" Because she has like a nanny there who I'm sure is like, "What the fuck is this kid doing?" Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Kid, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
What are you doing right
So
now?
last night
You're
he
scaring
was
the children.
we're trying to put him to bed, and he's, no, we're not gonna play video games right now. Like in the morning, maybe we can in the morning. Yeah, it's pretty.
It
fucking
started,
cute,
Dawn.
man.
It started.
It's
He
pretty
wants to
cute.
stay up with Dad and play video games.
Yeah, he just wants to play video games. all the
That's
time.
dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Good lad.
So
Good
that's
lad.
That's what I've been doing, playing Injustice.
Good. I'm glad you're playing some games. I'm trying to do less of that.
It's pretty easy to fit, like 20 minutes in after dinner before he gets in the bath.
Yeah, see, that's what I need. Something
yeah.
like I can come home, hit it, quit it.
Exactly.
That sounds
What?
bad.
Yeah. Well, I'll let him pick the characters. He'll walk up and just point to the people he wants to fight. For some
it's a-
reason.
So it's just like one of those fighting games. Like,
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those
It's just like Mortal Kombat, but it's just DC superheroes and villains.
oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So we will always start with Green Lantern versus Batman. Always.
And you're Green
Always.
Lantern.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm Green Lantern because Batman. There's like levels in the game for the individual characters. I don't want Batman to be too high of a level. so I gotta be the other person to get more experience.
Oh,
Yeah.
because you're just always Batman.
Batman is the most common character in the main storyline of the game, and so he just gets the most experience points in the main storyline. So when you're doing side fights and shit
Yeah,
like
so
that,
everybody
you still
kinda
get
starts out
experience.
as that.
Exactly. So they all start at 0. So I just use Green Lantern instead.
So what possessed you to pick Green Lantern?
That was him.
Out of all the characters.
That was him. Dax did.
Oh, word.
Yeah. Batman is his favorite DC superhero. So he always picks Batman, and then I say, okay, who else? And he always does Green Lantern first.
That's funny. Because
So-
he doesn't know who Green Lantern
Fuck
is,
no.
right?
Fuck no.
Look at that.
Random as shit. Just
That's
pick
wild.
Green Lantern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wha-
And it's always Green Lantern.
It's probably because he's always got some kind of glowy greenness on
Yeah, I have
him.
no idea what the deal is.
I like it.
So we'll do that like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, no, pick somebody else. No more Green Lantern and Batman. I don't want to do this over and over and over again. So
That's funny.
that's good.
I might have to try to play a game tonight. Now that I think about it.
Oh, it's worth it, bro.
Yeah. Because I haven't really messed with it. I've been like writing and shit again
Yeah.
at night, staying up way too late. Late hours of the evening. I got like a little drink going on.
Sippy,
Lights
sippy,
down,
a little bit
man.
of this.
Yeah, because when it's not lit up for a podcast, this place is very cozy.
Yeah.
Big fan. Big fan.
Yeah.
Well, dope.
That's it. We can out of here. You ready?
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Well, I just want to remind
Drop
everybody.
a Lineskis, too.
Thank everyone for joining us. Obviously, this has been an incredible show today. So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you, YouTube, Salt of the Streets. Obviously, leave us a like and a comment. Share us with everyone so they know that we're here. They know they can find this information. All we want is objective information spread to everybody so they can make up their own minds. Help us accomplish this goal. You can follow us on our personal social media. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram, and Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both of those things. We have our Instagram at Salt of the Streets, our YouTube at Salt of the Streets, our Facebook at Salt of the Streets. Fuck Facebook. You can find all of this on our saltofthestreets.com, as well as the episodes, the links, all of our past episodes. We used to write articles and stuff like that. All of that stuff is on there. With that, if you're listening to this on a podcast, obviously leaving us a rating and a review. It helps people find us, helps more people know that we are here. With that, I am ready for the closing line.
Let's do it.
Colin, what am I going to need to know how to make a tiramisu? There's 3 weeks left of school. Give me a fucking break.
No. Make me a goddamn tiramisu.
Make me a goddamn tiramisu.
Bye. I forgot we got to do that now. It's hard to go back and just do a hard cut. Boom.